on the block, man. I drinking brandy like a big shot, man. I eat fast food, but something I forgot. I see this man in my gallery. I drop a big rocky holler. Oh. Young boy, you better stop. It is me, Santa Claus. For the Christmas Eve drop, I holler over Santa Claus. Tell me what I got. Is it a TV?
No.
STV box?
No.
A cellular phone?
No.
A what?
No.
He said, I know when you've been naughty. I know when you've been nice. You went to MCF. You stole those people rights. You cooked some food for people and you didn't wash the rice. You ain't getting knocked and white. You stayed from all your eyes. Cause I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. Papa me getting nothing for Christmas. Hey, naughty guy. Papa me getting nothing for Christmas. I don't know the reason why. I washed on the house, I paint the gallery, I put the Christmas lights on the Christmas tree. Had my grandmother bake the ham and turkey for all of them late fresh people to be coming by me. I wiped down the tiles until I hurt my hand and put aside a bottle of rum for me contour and a sand stick. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. Papa me getting nothing for Christmas. Hey, I'm being a naughty guy. Papa me getting nothing for Christmas. I don't know the reason why. All the talk about the ham and the turkey and the rice. I want to get to know this is the birth of Jesus Christ. Wise men pan down the cats and not driving cars. Let all them follow that beautiful star. Away in the manger, not played by the back. The little Lord Jesus, bless the head. That's why we should often say I like a prayer and give thanks and praises on Christmas Day still. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing for Christmas. Not only getting nothing for Christmas. Hey, I'll be a naughty God. Only getting nothing for Christmas. I don't know the reason why. Merry Christmas to everyone. Coming straight from home.
gentlemen, good evening, boys and girls. You are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And you just heard the national anthem of Barbados, and I'm holding in my hand the national flag of Barbados. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Barbados. Merry Christmas to everybody. We just finished Independence, and we are now on to Christmas. You know, in the Caribbean, we having a good time. We're sorry for those of you in the diaspora. Is it cold there? Any snow on the ground? What's happening there? You're having a white Christmas? Some of us in the Caribbean, you know, we say we want a white Christmas, but we still like the sunshine. I had to stick that in for those who are overseas. But let me just go right to the comment section and welcome Malachi, who's joined us. You know, you're part of our family. Malachi, Merry Christmas, Josh, Monica, Patricia Green. Are you in the Christmas mood? Uh, Although we're hearing elections in the air, we're gonna tell you why we know why we're saying that. Why we're saying that, Carol, Vernon, Teroni. Guys, have you liked and shared Teroni? Hi, Mildred, Aretha. Oh my goodness. Aretha, good evening. Bajan to the bone. Tyrone Lewis, good evening, Tyrone. Cameron Harding, Matthew B. How are you doing? How is business doing? Jacqueline, Aline, I'm a big girl. Good evening. Beverly Perscott, Dalton Spence, Adrian, no, Diana husband. Good evening. Merry Christmas, everybody. Shirley, good evening. Oh wow, I'm a big girl. Did I greet you already, Margaret Jill? How are you? Emerson, Bob, and Shirley. Listen, folks, it is a joy to be here with you. I missed you all on Friday. I've been so busy, really very, very busy with my with the School Praise Academy of Dance. We just had our awards and appreciation ceremony last night. It was beautiful. Those of you who came out to support, thank you so much. I know a lot of you been messaging me, and I didn't get a chance to respond to everybody as yet. But Matthew B, I'm sorry about that. But folks, I have been busy. Teroni, I am sorry. I am so sorry. Been extremely busy. You know, I've been working with our production, and wasn't able to respond. But you know, this week is coming up, and you're going to hear from us a bit more. Let me take the opportunity to thank Mr. Bab. Thank you to Mr. Bab. Thank you to Apostle Canterbury. You know, they held the fort for the show, and I mean, they did an amazing job. And Rose Carbin, come on, guys, give it up. And that's it. We are a team. And listen, we ain't going nowhere. You know what? They're planning to do what's it called, the man, Dave, that they sent out of here. Why is my brain not ticking tonight? You know, listen, it don't matter. They're planning to send me on a jet plane out of here. But even if they send me on a jet plane, trust me, this show is gonna continue. Of course, you know they can't send me anywhere, right? They can't send me anywhere. Yes. Okay, I see Malachi saying that that he doesn't celebrate Christmas. Well, and you don't discriminate against those that don't. That's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah. So if you don't, my apologies. Hi, Judith Ann. How are you, Judith Ann? Oh Lord, yeah. Oh my goodness, Judith Ann. We haven't really spoken properly as yet. Okay. Let's hope we are all, you know, going to relax a bit and being able to talk to each other again. All right. Hi, Shirley. Shirley, I didn't have a show last night. Oh, I know what you mean. You didn't get to attend the show with the children last night. Yes, I missed you. But no problem. Yes. Yes. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. But you know what, guys? In the middle of Christmas, we have got to talk about elections. And a little later in the program, we're going to tell you why we believe that the elections are going to be around February, March, more towards February. All right. And we're going to show you why we're thinking that way and why it is important that we continue to do what we are doing and continue to with our education. On the Marcia Beat Show, we educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. What we want to happen is that we have informed voters, informed voters who are able to go out there and they vote to wherever they want to vote, but that they are informed about the issues. Remember, we do not have a big opposition. We don't have a whole lot of seats in parliament. And so we the people, don't forget, we the people, we make up that opposition, okay? And so that is why, yes, Marva. Yes, so that is why we are saying, guys, everybody, we're gonna share up the live. We're gonna share up this live. Take a moment. We're gonna share the show with others, and we're gonna stay focused. Okay, we're not going to be, fighting and devour each other. All right, we're going to work together. Yes, we're going to work together to make sure you're sharing. And tonight, guys, Dave, we have something there called called the end of term, the government end of term performance card. No, wrong one. This is the wrong one. Thank you. Thank you. So right now it is on, if you notice, it's an Excel file that we can always fill in. And if we go to the top, so we can see the name of it, the Barbados government end of term performance card. And I think we have the date wrong on it. It should say it's to 2025. Okay, I think David's going to change that 2018 to 2025. David's changing that in real time. And we have a grade P. P for pass and X for fail. Right? And this was put together by Mr. David Gill. So let me give all kudos to him. And tonight, the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to talk about is the transitioning to a republic. And that's the first thing on the card. The very first thing on the card, if we go up just a little bit, that we're going to be grading on tonight, transitioning to a republic. And then all the way to the end of the year. Okay, each night we're taking a different one of these, yeah? Each night we're going to take a different one. And tomorrow night we are going to talk about delivering on education reform. So each night, so you tell people to log in, and we are going to grade this government pass or fail. Pass, they get a P, and X if they fail. Right? So that's it. Judith Ann, there is a sermon by Reverend John Rogers. I didn't hear that sermon. Okay. All righty. Well, before we get into this, so the next 15 minutes, guys, I want to talk to you about a video that has been circulating. Okay, so this video, it's about Savvy on the Bay. And that video has been circulating. And I think it's important, that I try my very best to present what is truth. Now, those of you who might not remember Savvy on the Bay, Savvy on the Bay is the establishment right almost next door to Miss Ram. And we would remember what happened to Miss Ram, where the government basically, compulsorily did a compulsory sale, I should say, of the compulsory purchase of her land. Okay, compulsory acquisition of Miss Ram's land. And they basically told her, this is what we're paying you for it. They didn't care whether she had a business established there. They basically put her out. And to this day, Miss Ram has not been paid. But they've given the land over to Mark Maloney to develop. Well, guess what? We know that was the intention for Savvy on the Bay. And I can tell you this, that when the government could not get their way with Savvy on the Bay, as they did with Miss Ram, you know what they did? They started to push out a race issue. They said because Savvy on the Mr. Kinch is a white Barbadian. And what the government of this country wanting to divide people, the government started this campaign, a race campaign. They injected race in this whole thing. Okay? They injected race in it and thought that the people of Barbados was going to buy it. At first, I know a lot of us, we started to say, oh, this white man and whatever. But as you dug a little deeper, you realize what was happening. They were race baiting us. The government of this country, can you believe that? Putting people against each other. Now, you know Marcia Weeks. I am one of the first ones. If there's an issue of race, I'm probably the first one on this panel that calls it out. I don't play. But I can tell you something. What I have found based on my research, this is my research and it's my opinion. You can do your own research. When you're talking about racism and Mr. Kinch's name, they don't go together. Why I say that? To speak to the people who are renting spots, those entrepreneurs that Mr. Kinch, to me, who is doing more for young entrepreneurs in this country than even the government, where he's providing a place for Black people who would otherwise not be able to rent a space and have a business. And that's one of the reasons actually why I go to Savvy and I support those vendors. When you go in, you turn to the right, you're going to see a lot of women in there, young women with their stalls and so on. And you know what? What was reported is that some of these people, when they started off, they couldn't even pay the space of the rental space. And Mr. Kinch allows them to stay there until they can build up their clientele. You would have heard some of the vendors came out and spoke on this. And this is, one of the ways that you can know the type of person somebody is when he's not around, how the people speak of him. I have been there and I've seen the interaction. And I'm telling you, I do not believe it. I do not believe it. Everything is not about race. I can tell you, I am quick to do it. I have to tell you, because, some of these people are racist in this country. But I thank God for my white friends, and I thank God, white Barbadians, yeah. And we call it out when we see it. But I just want to say, in my opinion. So I saw this video. Dave, if you could play it. And we're not going to even spend a whole lot of time on it. Yeah, this wicked administration. That's what they're yeah. But go ahead, play this video, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, again. There's beer Ross over here. You understand?
I forgot that there was a bad word in there.
No, watch this here. Look. We gotta dig up this here. Because the man that owns Savvy tell the man to drop the pipes facing left and not straight because he ain't want the water on his property. Tell me that is right. Huh? Or he cheers out, the business running. See what he's saying? No water, but I ain't know how done with Copacabana because he got the same issue with Copacabana. What I need to do something with this man for real. This man Alan Cage. Cause he come here on the beach doing our sea like. I don't know if the ministers or the prime minister can or whoever can get to he. But this is other shit here going on. Utter shit. These two businesses that next to he, the man tried to squeeze them with the water. You say what you saying? What next? He ain't got no water but his property. None. I draw this point from off his property just now and ran it, so. You understand? This shit, brother. This is shit. This is shit. And they need to get DB. Real talk. This beer can.
Okay. Dave, if you can start to put up some of the videos. So let's deal with what is, because I have some pictures of my own to show tonight. And I think it is important, and we need to continue this discussion. All right. But just let me say that usually if there's going to be a lot of rain, it is the government's responsibility to clear the drains. Okay, you have water that's running off of Gemmett's Lane and runs over to that direction on the property. All right, and so everybody there would be affected. Now, based on what I have found out is that the big question is to ask this gentleman if he cleared his drains, because when the government doesn't clear the drain, what happens is that Mr. Kinch goes ahead and he creates drainage, and you're going to see the videos where his drainage is going to the sea. Because sometimes you hear stories, guys, and we don't all the time. We don't hear all of it. All we see is race. And you heard what he said? Why the government? Why they don't, I almost wrote it down, do something about this man, Mr. Kinch. And why the government, he called on the government if they can't do something with him. Is it that he's aware that they're trying to take the land from Mr. Kinch? I'm just asking a question. I don't know if Dave can put up some of the other videos. Dave, any of them you will see. Because one of the reason Mr. Kinch's property doesn't have any water on either side, his chairs, if you notice, there's no water there. It's that he's created that drainage, and you will see it going into a straight line to the water. There's something called propaganda, you see, and we have to be careful of it. I'm not sure. There seems to be something wrong why Dave is not able to show any of the videos at this moment. But believe me, I'm going to, whether it is later tonight, I'm going to show you the videos for yourself. Yeah? Okay, go ahead, Dave.
So this is where the government drain comes down all the side of the property. All the way down. You see the water.
Can we make it any bigger? No bigger?
In this area. So that's the water up from the side of the building. All that comes off of the road and comes down. Alan put this pipe in, and that is because the police don't want a trench or NCC for people to be falling in, or the vehicle going in and having difficulty on the beach. But I mean, this is where a government drain is supposed to be, so it's supposed to have a swale here going out or some way for the water to get out. So Alan had the expense of buying all this pipe, and it runs under the sand and goes out. What happens is when the water level is really too high, when it's too much, so we can't absorb any more in like the swale in the front under the bridge with where the fish are and the lilies. Well, it then, when it gets to that level, he will uncap the pipe, because the pipe runs down the beach all under the sand, and it would come to somewhere in this area. So far down, you can see it probably had to be a couple of days ago. They probably had to let it out, and it will just run straight out. But that is just all rainwater that comes down the government drain side, and we found a way to basically get out without having a trench way at the beach where the police drive or a lot of people walk. If you have any other suggestion, you can let us know.
Yeah. Yes, folks, I want us to understand the battles, right? The battles that we are fighting. I remember that one of the reasons that we did not help Miss Ram, I want us to remember that Miss Ram, one of the reasons we did not help her, it's because of what people's perception of Miss Ram. You see? It's a perception of Miss Ram. And so a lot of people did not help this woman. But regardless of what we think of Miss Ram, what was done to Miss Ram was wrong, was unjust. And I've told you on the show, one of the things I know about myself, I've come to realize about myself, I'm about justice. I don't care what color it is. I don't care who it is about. I believe strongly in justice. Now, this is the the draining, the government, MTWs, their draining system that they're supposed to drain. They're supposed to come to clear the drains, right? And for the people who use the beach, all these establishments. And the question that they need to ask the government, why don't they come to clear the drains? Mr. Kinch, based on what I'm seeing here, has his own business. And therefore, he's protecting his business by making sure the water on both sides of him go right into the sea. Everybody else, as far as I'm concerned, contact the government or do your own thing. Everything is not race. Yes, Pedro, a lot of people, they go by emotion. It is not sewage water. It is rain water that comes from Gemmon's Lane and comes all the way over to those properties, okay? It's rainwater. It is not sewage water. And you could go there and check for yourself. It is rainwater. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. Okay? I don't care, Gilbert. That's your problem. And that's where justice is justice. It's not a matter of whether Miss Ram is going to, it's not a do for do. Justice is justice. She's Indian and black. He's white. It doesn't matter. And that's where, right? No, he does not need to wait on any authority to do it. No, you are wrong. He doesn't need to wait on any authority. He has to protect his business by sending the water to the sea. It's not wrong. It is not sewage water. Gilbert, you are putting a lot of untruths in the chat. It is not true. Let us speak truth. It is not sewage water. It is not sewage water. It is rainwater, sir. Right? Okay? Well, I understand it works, but for us, what we need to understand is that, listen, if you're advocating for justice, advocate for justice. Let us do right by every human being, regardless of the color, regardless of race. Okay? Thank you. She is human. She is human. Yeah? So I'm not into, listen to me, guys. We need to choose the battles that we are going to fight and understand what is going on here in this. And the question is, why is this man calling on the government to do something about Mr. Mr. Kinch? Does he know that the government is still after Mr. Kinch's land? Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so let's yeah, it's rainwater because of the rain that just fell. Okay. So let's be real on that. Okay. We're going to move on from that. And nobody asked me to do this. Mr. King shouldn't ask me to do this. But I'm a person about justice and what is right. And I know that the plan is to take Mr. Kinch's land, just as they did with Miss Ram. And as long as I have breath coming out of my body, I am not going to sit down and allow. I will always speak out. They want that land to give to a Frexim Bank. Thank you, Angel Umbo. That's what they want. And as long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to make noise to Mr. King. I didn't do it for Miss Ram, and I was wrong. And because I didn't understand the situation at the time. But I understand it now, and I will make noise for Mr. Kinch. I will. Because that the plan is to give the land for them to make that bank or the hotel. Remember, they're going to put that the hotel over there to make it into a car park, and they will have easy access to the beach, so they don't want him there. Yeah, correct. That's what it is. And so no, we're not going to stand by and allow them to do that. We will help. We will fight with him because it's wrong. Yeah. All right. Now, thank you. Thank you, Africa Bridge, for clarifying that. I was about to say that the young man was complaining. This is what I'm saying. We listen and we hear things through our own experiences. All right. And I've lost lots of my white Bajan friends because I get very thing about making sure that we're not taken advantage of. But I think that we need to be careful of what we're doing, all of us, me included. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on from that. We're moving on from that. And we're from Savvy on the Bay and Mr. Kinch, and we are going to be talking about election in the air. And I have a guest with me, and listen, he's back by popular demand, and and it's because what he's saying, we want to hear it. We want to hear what he's saying. All right. Before he comes on, I need everybody to share. Everybody, did you like yet, and did you share? I haven't even been saying to subscribe. Yeah. I didn't ask you to subscribe. Yeah. All right. So everybody, are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? All right. So Mr. Hines is with us. Adrian Hines, give me a thumbs up, Adrian, if you're ready. Later in the program, Mr. Alwyn Bob might just pop in, and Mr. Maxine McLean is back with us. And I know she's at a meeting now, hoping that she'll be able to join us later tonight. So Adrian, give me a thumbs up if you are ready. Wonderful. Welcome, Mr. Hines, to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, Marcia. Good to be here. Thanks for having me again. Good night to the loyal opposition. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we have been talking about this, the elections coming up, and it is our belief, my belief, I will say, and you can say your view on it. That's the point of this show. We think our own thoughts, that based on based on some information that I got 2 weeks ago. And then this morning, after about 5 o'clock, I got a call. That's all I can say. I got a call. And I believe that just from those two, pieces of information that I received, Adrian and viewers, that elections would be in February or latest early March. All right. Now, this is supposed to be an element of surprise, but we not holding it. We talking about it. Mr. Hines, that's why I believe it is, and some other things. But what are some of the reasons? What are your thoughts?
I don't know if it's going to be in February. It's just certainly likely. Definitely, it's not going to be in December or January, and I can say that with confidence because they have a list of 8,000 persons that are reported to be overseas, and they're giving these folks till January 31st, 2026, to make representation as to whether they should be kept on or continue to be deleted. So definitely that exercise has to be completed before elections are called. So definitely December and January is out of the question for elections. So February and on is in play. And I think the earlier is more likely to be the case because I don't believe this government has a good case currently.
But before you go on, Mr. Hines, let's make sure that we get the first point. So the first point you're making is that January 31st is the deadline to that they have to clean up the voters list.
Correct.
Okay. So that's point number one. All right.
Right.
Point number two, yes.
So that leaves once that's done, that exercise, the window to make representation to keep yourself on is closed on January 31st. Then any month after that is in play. And I could certainly see why February would make sense because it is sooner rather than later. And later, there's a lot of unknowns with regards to having or maintaining any semblance of a good case for being reelected. I don't see the economy getting any better. I don't see things improving in the lives of Barbadians to the point where the government's messaging during an election can give them the confidence that on the strength of their work that they would be elected. So the sooner they have it, the better. And that also ties into the fact that the longer the wait, the more confident, the more secure the Democratic Labor Party would be, right? So yeah, everything speaks to our early election, February and on. So I tend to agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if they called it in February.
Yeah, wouldn't be February, early March, thereabout. Now, somebody said it's close to that 6 months mark when March 1st actually would have been 6 months. I think I calculate that right? Somebody can let me know. But there is a video going around where someone is saying, actually a Vincentian saying that somebody from St. Vincent, they were at immigration or at where they get the vote, the ID. The ID, Trident ID, and asking for an ID. So once you've got an ID, you can vote. So there's a big plan. They kind of put those that are watching. What are your thoughts? Do you think that we are correct in thinking that it's going to be very soon, February, early March? Anybody out there? What are your thoughts? Somebody said election in the love month of February. Anybody? Is it going to be March 1st or February, the end of February? Is it February 28th or 29th? Wait, I'm not sure how many days this one has in it. Yeah. Anybody else out there want to make a guess at it? What we gonna do? I mean, I agree with Adrian on so many points that he's made, that the longer that they wait, if they wait until next year, it gives the any of the opposition parties, it gives them more time to get ready, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that it will give them more time to get ready. Now, what, what another key um what I'm mixing up my words tonight, but indicator is what I'm looking for. A key indicator is Ryan Strawn. Did you hear Ryan Strawn, Mr. Hines?
No, I saw something. I didn't pay much attention to it. I think there was some question as to whether there was going to be a VAT-free holiday or something.
Yes, so there's
Yeah.
discussion about this VAT-free holiday. Not just that, but he's all of a sudden, I mean, pushing this reverse tax credit of
Right.
1,300. Dave, if you could put up that slide for me real quickly. There's a few slides because I think it's so important for us to allow Barbadians to know that this is not anything new that is happening, and it is not a gift. You understand? It's not a giveaway. The way he's presenting it, and telling them, at first he was saying, if you don't pay any taxes, you're not, you can't, almost like if you're not in it, you can't win it. when these people, they don't pay taxes because they're not, at the threshold. So I want to this on this show, it's important that we educate. All right. So the reverse tax credit, they go to the next slide real quick. Real quick, we're going to run through this. What is the rationale for the reverse tax credit? Some of you already know what it is, and you know that what the purpose of the credit is to reduce the tax burden for eligible individuals, provided financial relief effectively. And Adrian, a lot of our families need the financial relief, right? It's
Yeah. Yes.
also it's also to drive the economy. Economic
Mhm.
incentives, tax credits incentivize specific specific economic behaviors by encouraging investment or spending. And Mr. Hines, if you think about it, look and see when they're giving the money. It's usually done at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Because they want the money to be spent in the economy, all right? And all of that. It's there's a system to it, right?
Yeah.
It is done for poverty reduction, economic participation, and it's part of government commitment. That is what they said that they would do. So they use it to boost the economy.
Yeah.
Now, so a lot of people there, whether when you get this money, a lot of people, Adrian, they're in such debt. I don't know. I mean, you're in the U.S., but I'm telling you, it's out here. That 1,300 is gone already.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
the way they're doing the reverse tax credit. I've said this before. In all economies, there is what I refer to as a spending class. People who are always kept at a minimum, just
Mm,
inside or just outside of poverty, who are always in want of money, so that when they need to boost the economy, or in addition to boosting to the economy, make themselves look better, they can always offer what we call here in the US a stimulus check. You see?
mm,
So that money serves two purposes. It stimulates the economy, and it also makes the giver looks good. And that's where up here, the last stimulus check that was sent out, Trump wanted to put his name all over it, make it Trump money and all that good stuff, because he was looking to have some political benefit to himself as a result of giving that money. And here, I could see that as a thought for the government. How can we benefit from this politically? Giving them this money. How can we benefit from it? So yeah, given that Christmas is a good time, but I mean, with elections sometime next year, people will soon forget, because, as you said, that money is going to go very quickly, right? So that's why I think they're kind of hem and hawing as to whether they're actually going to do it, because they might be saying to themselves that this money is better given just outside of elections, so that people can tie this money to benefiting the governing party at election time. So we'll see. Yeah.
Correct, and that's what, you know, on the show we are going to, we are determined, Adrian, to educate our people. We are when we're finished, we're going to have 280,000 people who are educated voters, and that is our aim, really. Because I mean, when you look at this, as Adrian is saying, it looks like it can be seen as a clear, you know, election style giveaway. And the timing is there for maximum impact, as somebody was saying, even with the with you know, sending home the bill, the bill for education, as though somebody said, you know, they're making history by paying for education. All of this, I believe, is leading up to something, right? So we want people to, that this reverse tax credit payment is not a new benefit, Barbados. It's a long-standing, it's an entitlement for qualifying persons, right? Qualifying persons, but obviously rolling it out just before the Christmas season, and then you're pairing it with this talk that you are mulling over that holiday. It kind of smell like what we would call political theater, right?
Yeah.
It raises the question, truthfully, is this something genuine? Is this genuine support for those who are suffering among us? Or just an attempt to buy goodwill ahead of votes? Right? So we want you to think critically about it. Not that it's not important, because we know that for most of you that is gone. That's gone before you receive it, because it's not Mr. Bob, let me bring him in as well. Getting some noise coming through, Adrian.
Not on my end. There's nothing but me here. Nobody's around. I'm hearing something too, but it's not me.
It's not you? Okay, yeah, it actually was you. As I turn off your mic, it's gone. So it's coming through somewhere. Probably you have something on. Mr. Bob, good night, sir.
Hi, good night, good night. Good night to the lawyer opposition.
Yes, good night.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Clear. Okay.
Yes, we are talking about elections in the air. And you know, we are looking at some of the signs, and we looked at this reverse tax credit that they're, you know, acting as though it's a giveaway. They're giving you something, you know, as though, you know, it's not something that you are entitled to, you know, and it's not the first time.
Yes.
You know, but the way they're behaving, it's, you know, but well, let me hear your thoughts about it.
I want the people, our people, to understand, or to really think about what is happening, especially when it comes to election time. All through the period leading up to this time, or any time that the election is in the air, you are suffering. You're unable to buy necessities. You're unable to make ends meet, pay your bills. You're juggling between which bill to pay or food this month. So some people are paying water bill this month and electric bill next month. You hear me?
No, I was saying there's still some noise that's coming through, Mr. Bob.
Oh.
It's almost like one of us has something playing. Okay, it's gone now.
Let me go and come back in.
I wonder what that is all about. Okay, don't go out yet, Mr.
Let
Bob.
me go.
Don't go out yet. Hi, Mr. Bob, keep speaking, please. Okay, he's going out. Let me bring Adrian back in.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I don't hear it anymore. Do you hear it, Adrian?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's see, Mr. Bob, if we're going to hear him. Yeah. Hi, Mr. Bob.
Here? Hi.
Yes, I'm not hearing anything.
I don't know what it is, but I was saying before we had the interference that I want Barbadians to really think about what is genuine assistance during the years prior to the between elections. If you were suffering, if you were unable to make ends meet, if you are able to purchase those things that are necessary from the supermarket, if you were juggling bills and nobody came to your rescue, but here is on the verge of the election, you're going to hear about tax credit, a discussion of dangling a VAT holiday in front of us. And we have to, at this stage in our political life, the political life of Barbados, to determine what is genuine and what is a gimmick. So you have the government is giving back your tax credit. They're not giving you something out of their own pocket. You are entitled to it. The law says that because you work at a particular, get a particular salary when the year comes, this is what you're entitled to until they change it. So it's not a gift. It is what you're entitled to. So don't allow them to dangle these things, and then you get so fickle that you then start to say, oh, they give me it. If I don't put them back, I'm not going to get it. That is not true. So we have to be very careful, and when they come to insult our intelligence by doing these things, we have to dismiss them. That is all I'm saying.
Great.
Yes. Adrian?
No, I was agreeing with Alvin on that. They like to pair these things together without actually saying that this is what they're doing. They're looking to benefit from it. Being this benevolent government, and that people would reward them because they're going to say, look, I got my $1,300. Look, I got my $300. Look, they're doing all this stuff. And people are going to immediately say, yeah, let's put them back in because they're doing right by us. And what Alvin is pretty much saying is, separate the two. Separate the two. I keep saying this about, folks in St. Philip during the era of Cappy Greenwich, his last election, which he lost bigly, as Trump would say, where he spent a lot of money in food and drinks and stuff like that. The people ate him out, drank him out, and voted him out. And that's what Barbadians need to do. I'm not telling you don't take whatever they're given. I mean, it's illegal, but nevertheless, if they give it, take whatever. But your vote is yours. And you need to, think long term. Short term, yeah, take whatever's going on during the silly season. Remember, that's what it is. They're trying to sweeten you up to get you to give you your X. But if you take from them and you reward them with that X, they have essentially bought your vote. And when you sell something, you have no more ownership. When you sell something, it is no longer yours. When you sell something, you have no more power, no more agency over that. So that's part and parcel why these folks don't seem or care to listen to you, because they know they pay for what they got and they don't have to listen to you, because next time around, they'll do the same thing and you're likely to do the same thing again. Accept the money and do that. But you don't have to. You can take the money. They don't know how you vote. They don't know. I think a lot of that occurred with St. Vincent. Ralph Gonzalez was absolutely certain he was going to win. So it had to be that a lot of NDP folks were giving him that vibe. Maybe also a lot of ULP voters were given that vibe that they were going to, come out in their numbers and do what they had to do. But the record shows that they didn't. That NDP people came out and ULP people probably stayed home because everybody was kind of fed up with it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Barbadians need to do. Your vote is yours. Take whatever they're going to give, ask for whatever, accept whatever. But when you go in that booth, remember, you've got 5 years coming down the pipe with a government that in the last 5 years hasn't done right by you. What makes you think they're going to automatically change course this time around? Give somebody else a chance. Go back to what we've always done. If a government in power is not doing right by you, you vote them out.
Yeah. And as Angel humbly saying, she heard Mr. Strawn bloating that they are giving out tax credits for Christmas. The audacity. And when you think about, and that's the thing, they fool people with these things. They fool people. with it. But look at this. I mean, I'm seeing here, and somebody can tell us otherwise. Thank you, Dave. It seems like we had some fantastic things happening, guys, in the last decade. This last decade seems like it was
Yes.
the best thing for Barbados.
Yeah.
Everybody read. Let's pause. Let's pause for emphasis
Mhm.
here. Let's be dramatic about it. Can everybody read what Google is telling us? Everybody, stop typing and read the screen. This is from Google. What it said. Let me give you a minute. Let me stop talking. Yeah, I finished reading because I read fast. But
Yes.
it would appear to me, viewers, what are your thoughts before I go to the panelists? Because sometimes we forget the viewers. Viewers, what are your thoughts? It seems to me that this last decade has been the best thing that happened to Barbados. It seems so because here they are using something that was introduced in the last decade as an election gimmick to tell people they're giving this $1,300, and what it was $1,300 from back then.
So that was the point I was making. It is not theirs. That was the point I was making.
So
That
it
they
seems
did
like
dangle it like a carrot and something that they do, that they did. When the facts were shown and when you check, they had nothing to do with it. And now he's on a platform or wherever he's making a speech, given permission to speak and saying that we're going to give it to you for Christmas. You're giving it. It is the law. It was under a former administration in 2017, the DLP administration. So you are not dangling anything. You're not catching us. It is not a vote catching strategy for you. We are entitled to it.
But Dave, go back up to the top, please, because I think this is a pause for the cause here, because this here, I didn't even, thank you, Dave, I didn't even know this. How many of you out there knew that this was introduced? This is what Google telling us, Adrian.
Yeah.
How many of you out there knew this? Be honest. Let's be honest about it. How many of you out there knew that this was introduced in 2017 under the DLP? And you know what is interesting, Mr. Hines, is that the $1,300 has not changed. If they were even giving you $2,300 now that is 2020,
Yeah.
8 years later, they have not increased it. They kept giving you the $1,300. They have not said we're going to add anything to it.
Wow.
But this here brings to the fore, and we will discover a little later that this type of social legislation or social mobility things that help people in the community when they are down was introduced by the last administration. History record that they always took that the Democratic Labour Party always took the social side because they ran with a mantra that Barbados is more than an economy, is a society. And these are one, and this one, tax return and reverse tax credit is one of those many policies.
I love how you connected that, Mr. I love how you connected that, Mr. Hines. So say that again. Connect it, please. About Barbados is more than an economy; it's a society.
I was saying that all through history, you will recognize that the Democratic Labour Party has been about people, because their mantra was about Barbados is more than a society, more than an economy, is society. So you will see when you look at labor laws, when you look at the national insurance, when you look at housing, when you look at health, when you look at education, and what they did to make sure that people were uplifted. So they went a little further in 2017, and a part of their policy about people, and they recognized that to help persons who were paying taxes and as working probably close to minimum wage or at minimum wage, that they needed that kind of money back in their pockets. So that is why they introduced it. And it has nothing to do with this with Gregory's not Gregory, with the Strawn or the BLP.
Wow, Adrian, what a lost decade. I mean, I'm here in awe because I did a little somebody from the loyal opposition, thank you, madam. An accountant did up that little PowerPoint for me, but I didn't even realize that it was in this last decade. I think I'm dumbfounded.
I didn't know either, but I am not surprised because I can tell you that the angst among Barbadians was not as widespread. The angst among Barbadians during the so-called lost decade was not as widespread or as easily felt as it is today. And I know that there were lots of little gems of things from a social perspective that the Democratic Labour Party did, and that this whole lost decade thing and the way it was marketed by the Barbados Labour Party was all political. You know, I'm not surprised. And going back to what Alwyn says, that's something that we need also to differentiate between the Barbados Labour Party and the DLP, because we often hear that there's no difference between the two. And I, at some point, bought into that narrative that they're both the same, and they're not. You know, I mean, the DLP, as Alwyn said, you know, it's a social democratic backbone. It is more populist and more working class, and has a stronger social mobility narrative. Has always. That's what I keep saying. That's what appealed to me more about the Democratic Labour Party than the Barbados Labour Party. Have always, and that has been true for as long as I can remember. I mean, differences here and there. I mean, when Oinafa was, you know, leading the BLP, it took on more of a social, more of a populist, more of a feeling of a El Barro. At some point, people were saying that Oinafa was operating more like El Barro than he was of Tom Adams and the others that had led the Barbados Labour Party, and that's why he had mass appeal. And as a matter of fact, I think there was a saying that it was a deliberate attempt by the hierarchy of the Barbados Labour Party to get someone with a populist appeal to run the party to save their image. So that
occurred. Yes, Adrian. Yeah, that occurred after the 1986 elections, and when they went into their brainstorming, they recognized that they had to find someone because the philosophy of the party was that they were for the rich, and they have returned to that in this day and age.
Yes. So this
because the person who is leading did not grow up in Manila Quarter, did not grow up in St. Lucie, they did not grow up in the rural areas of St. Thomas, where they grew up.
Yeah.
So they cannot identify. Yes, they cannot identify the person who is now leading. Cannot identify or pretend to identify with. And you know what? What fooled the people too? She went into a St. Michael's constituency and pretended that she was part of that kind of class, and she understood, but not in policy, not where, because there's a feeling, you get a feeling that there's a borrowing of money and the spending of money, because you know this is what happened. I travel with young people who don't have a care about bills. I travel too, but I know when I get back home, I can't take my credit card. But the young people, because they don't have that to think about, to buy the most expensive shoe. So I get the feeling sometimes that we have a person who is leading Barbados, who's a spendthrift, who will borrow and somebody gonna pay, or bring drink, somebody gonna pay mentality, and then it is there, spend it. You understand? But we can't do the average Barbadian can't do like that. And what Oinafa brought to the party saved them, because people were of the impression at that point in time where they were given a sound beating at the polls that is who they were, and they have returned to it. And quite frankly, that because of who was leading them.
So to build on that a little, to another point with regards to this idea that the DLP 10 years ago is the DLP under Torn, as is the BLP under Oinafa is the BLP under Mia Motley. We know that's not true.
That's
And
not
this is
true.
the argument. This is the argument that I say, that when people come talking about, the DLP today and talking about 10 years, that lost decade in a negative way, not only can we defeat that argument through all the good, positive things that has occurred during the lost decade, but we can also say, right, you guys, the BLP under Oinafra is not the BLP under Mia Motley. And nobody can dispute that. Likewise, the DLP under Frondale Stewart is not the DLP under Thorne. And we're not saying that negative. It's just that the leader tends to stamp their authority and their approach on the party, during their tenure. And that's very true. So this is the classic example of breaking that narrative that tends to suggest that the DLP or the BLP, back in the 70s is the same BLP and DLP in 2025. So, Joe.
I'm just, you see, I'm so quiet here because I'm here saying, hold a minute. You're telling me that this lost decade was the best thing that happened to Barbados? I'm probably stretching it, but you see, I'm quiet because I'm here wondering to myself, Adrian, I didn't know. You would think that this came underneath under their government.
Yeah, the same way they glossed over the lab that was so beneficial to us during COVID, right? They made it seem as if it was there all along, and it just appeared out of the cosmos or magically, and that the Democratic Labour Party had nothing to do with it because it would destroy the narrative about this lost decade. But a lot of good things happened during the lost decade, and I think that it needs to be celebrated. These things need to be talked about and called up when they try to use them as if it's par for the course.
Yeah. And we're gonna if Dave could put up the report, the end of year report card, end of term, because they're coming, their term ending. There's an end of term report performance card. Okay. If Dave could put that up, because we're going to look at that, and the first thing on it is a transition to a republic. But let me go back to Marva Hunt's point here, because as somebody trained in accounting, I'm saying, Adrian and Mr. Bob, you're telling me that this economy is doing so great that the DLP under the last decade, they were giving people $1,300 for the reverse tax credit. And the economy was so terrible, remember? That's what they said under the last decade.
Yeah.
And you're telling me how many years now? How many years now? It's 8 years later?
Yeah.
8 years later, this economy that they're saying is doing so great. The central bank governor says, listen, Barbadians, you don't understand. This economy is doing so great. We are getting accolades from everybody, everywhere. But it never changed, guys. We have not gotten $1 more than the $1,300 that was given to us in the time where the economy was bad. Wow. I find that to be, as somebody in accounting, that is rather deep. That's very interesting. It seems like the last decade was a good time. It is seeming that way, Mr. Bob.
Yes, Marcia, viewers, it was. And a lie that was sold, and because of a frustrated nation, to a frustrated people at that point in time, and the noise drowned out any type of analysis and of what was really happening around them. And the landscape is littered with evidence that that lost get paid phrase was false. So as we go on, I'm hoping that we can compare what has happened between 2008 and 2018 as to what in every sector is what is happening now. And people are going to be very surprised. Very surprised.
I know we want to move to the next thing, but you see my head here, the figures running in my head. I'm sorry, I can't help the
And
training that
and
I am. Listen
and
here,
it,
friend. They told us that there was a surplus of money.
A bounty.
Did they tell? Not just the
A
bounty.
bounty.
So they used the
And
bounty.
all they give people was $300.
But that was then. But listen about this. Didn't they produce a document? And they said that Adrian and Mr. Bob and viewers, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking in my phone because a nice young man sent the information to me. And it says that there has been an increase. Let's see here. In the amount of taxes collected. Don't tell me I've lost it all. Collected, and there was a breakdown here in the newspaper just the other day. They said that. I guess his stuff disappears after it's shared. But why if you have exceeded the revenue that you budgeted, that you are going to that was going to come in through taxes. I'm wondering why are we still at 1,300?
yeah, I mean, there's something called the value of money in accounting. I'm not an accountant, but I did a little accounting course to know that what $1,300 could buy in 2017, you'll need about $1,700 or over $1,700 to buy today. So the $1,300 doesn't have the same spending power. $1,300 in 2025 doesn't have the same spending power as $1,300 in 2017. So they need to up it.
They would need to, if you want to brag and boast about something.
Yeah.
So that
increase the purchasing power. Yeah, you gotta.
Power.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if everybody's getting it. I'm sure that they're getting it, and we could move on. So pardon me, guys, but it's just blowing my mind. Honestly, I mean, this propaganda is real.
So this all tells you. This all tells me that this was done to benefit their image. Look what we are doing for you. Because if they were truly about empowering people, right, they would have come to this realization. Any one of them, Kevin Greenidge and all the consultants that they have, Mr. Ram, high paid consultant who has a PhD in economics, would have been able to tell them, hey, look, if you're going to do this RTC that was in 2017, you got to increase it because the purchasing power of money decreases over time. So you have to up it. But that's not where their mind is. They're not about empowering people. They're doing this to make themselves look good. So that's why it remains at $1,300.
I'm here checking. I'm still on this because I think that a lot of people and people, guys, can you stop and share this this live for us, please? Please, can you stop and just pause and share the live, please? Thank you. Important because and when you go to your workplaces tomorrow, spend the time, guys, and talk to people about this.
Yeah.
Right.
This is easy, folks. I taught my kids about the value of money and its decreasing purchasing power over time by simply having them watch the costs on a yearly basis for things that they like, and they get it that, what $1 could buy today will take $1.50 or maybe $2 6 months to a year down the road. So you're going to get more money every year as inflation takes hold and stuff like that. So this is the same thing here. It can't be $1,300 in 2017 and $1,300 in 2025. You're not doing anything. You're pretty much giving them like $600 in terms of spending power. That's nothing to brag about.
Correct. So people need to pause and to think about that. You know,
Yeah.
pause and think about that. But we're gonna go to the scorecard. We're gonna leave the grand lost decade alone a little bit, and go to this end of term card. And we're going to talk about the republic, the transitioning to a republic. And I want Barbadians to go back to that time 4 years ago. We're changing subjects now. All right. So we are looking at the transition into a republic. And somebody might say to us, you know, why are you going back to that? We've moved on from that, Marcia. You know, why are we looking at that? But we have to look at it because we are told now it's 4 years, and so we're looking 4 years a republic. What really changed? So let's go to the genesis of the whole thing. And I don't know which of you want to jump in there, Mr. Bob or Mr. Bob. Go jump right in.
4 years, and has it really taken root in our country? Has it really grown on people? How independence has grown, have become part of their life? What I am saying at 4 years later is at different points in time, people are trying to tack it on to independence. We have a minister saying that the naming of the day is no longer, the Barbados is no longer on the cards, which signals to me that moving to a republic was never important, because if it was important for this government, then they would not have tried to contest the history of Barbados and independence. A transition to, if it's so important to us and to show us as a really independent country by moving to a republic, then they should have set aside a separate day so that we can focus on being a republic and republicanism. They would have by now, 4 years later, produced a Republican constitution. Not what they're now trying to do in Parliament, but a piecemeal approach to certain things that they think would appeal to the general public. And I think the main reason for that, all of this, is because they never, ever engage the people of Barbados in such a significant change and transition. We were never involved in saying yea or nay, or what we expect of it. It was as if some person got out of bed and you said, no, it's time to move. And whether the people like it or not, we can do it. And then after they announce that we're going republic, then you set up commissions. But the people, you can't get your people to be part of something that they have no, such a significant part of, will be part of our history, and they have no involvement in making that decision. So it's going to take much longer. And then you set up a contest. You set up a contest with something that's supposed to be so significant, a contest with history.
So yes, again, this is another event that that qualifies as one where the emphasis was not on the people, the emphasis was not on the country, the emphasis was on the leader and what the leader wanted and what it will do to her legacy, more so than anything else, because it was rushed. What we got was a changing of the Constitution to remove the titling and the wording of Governor General to that of President. That's all that occurred, right? Just the Constitution, the document itself. That's all that occurred. So in order, there are two things that makes us a republic. You know, they have representative government. You know, people we elect to go to Parliament. We've been doing that since 1966, and some people have added to not be a constitutional monarchy, which we were labeled as. But a constitutional monarchy is nothing other than a symbolism of a monarchy. It's not real. It's just a symbol. That monarchy has no authority in the running of the country. So changing that designation was all that occurred, right? Is that what made us a republic? You know, that we need to celebrate it in this manner? Well, there are other things that shows that we're still attached to the colonial monarchical legacy, right? We have a system of governance that was designed for monarchy, was designed for England, called Westminster, that gives ultimate power to the office of the prime minister. We still have that in play today, and it's being exercised. It's being exercised with all that power today. So you can't have a republic with a leader functioning as a monarch, and that's what we have in Barbados today, right? So it is an event that its sole purpose was to give legacy to the prime minister as doing something historical. But in real, if you look at it, it is all symbolic. We are nothing more than a symbolic republic. We're not a real republic. We can't be. You know, we can't be.
You know, I'm thinking if you know, somebody might say, what does this have to do with elections? That happened 4 years ago. We voted after that happened. You know, why does this matter now? And I want to ask you guys that, and the audience, why should this matter to Barbadians as we go to the polls? We believe we're going to the polls in late February, early March. Okay, why should the transitioning to a republic matter to us, Mr. Bob? Why do you think it should matter to voters?
This should matter because it is part of their stewardship. And when we go to the polls the next election, this government is on trial. What have you done with the time that we gave you responsibility for this country and our affairs? That is what is on the ballot. Your stewardship. So everything done in this period of time under you must come under scrutiny, because we then have to make a decision if you merit another term. And part of what you were supposed to deliver to Barbados was a functioning republic. And my grade tonight as a teacher is U, not F, ungraded.
Well, you can only do pass or give them the X or the X amount, okay? So all right, so that is Mr. Bob. But let me ask Adrian. But before Adrian, let me see if anybody answered on why this should matter to Barbadians as they go to the polls. And okay, so Paul answers, the republic is a failed idea rejected by the masses, magnified by MAM to replace independence. So Paul, should this be an issue that voters are going to, should they be thinking about this as they go to the polls? That's what I want to hear from you guys, and why. Okay, I'm waiting for them to answer. Well, Mr. Hines, should this matter? Should this matter to voters, the transitioning to a republic as they go to the polls?
Absolutely. It is unfinished. It has been messed up. She took so that in itself demonstrates an inability to legislate correctly, to govern properly, right? Very untidy. Work not presented properly. So this is a failure. This is something that is important to the psyche of the country. To going from that colonial legacy to something that we can call our own.
Can you explain that a bit more? You said it's important to the psyche of Barbadians. Go into that a bit more.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you believe Dr. Hilary Beckles that Barbados was the first slave society, meaning that it was a society designed to have slavery as part of its collective, being, then you understand what slavery is all about, and the baggage that comes with that, all of the things that would have occurred to slaves back in the days in terms from a mental perspective, and having to deconstruct all that we have been taught forcibly to make us what we were then into becoming more independent and more progressive and more thinking about ourselves as true citizens of a country, right? This is something that is important, that you do it correctly. You do it by involving every people and giving people the confidence and bringing them into your bringing them into the process of building out what is supposed to be our democracy. She didn't do that, right? And that's very important. And this is something that everybody's been calling for, right? Even some of her sycophants and people who support her said that this is, and they've been saying this long before we got to this point where we had a parliament that had 30 members or a majority of members who were willing to vote for transitioning to a republic in the real sense. This was an opportunity for her to use that effectively to bring that about and bring the people along with her. No, it was more of the same, top down. And then underneath the hood, a lot of glare as to what it means. But when you look under the hood of what was being stated as a republic, it really isn't. So people are disappointed to the point where there are people walking around believing that Barbados does not have a constitution. They do, but there are people who believe that because nothing has really changed, right? So people feel very disappointed. And I think that singularly, if a person was to come to me and say that I'm not going to vote for this government because they messed up this one thing that is very important to us, which is becoming a republic in the true sense of what republicanism means. So yeah, a failure. And I think that if someone would go to the polls with that as their single event that causes them to throw this government out, I would agree with that. Yes.
Celia is saying it matters at the polls. It should matter. She says yes, it matters because in a Republican constitution, we demand that most of the power that is vested in the PM office must be removed. We should demand this constitution before elections. With Republic Constitution, I agree. That's one thing, Celia. I agree with this. I think that I think Barbadians should demand the Republican Constitution before the elections. How many of you agree with that? That we should have a Republican Constitution before elections. Mr. Hines, hands up. You agree? You agree, Mr. Babb? We should.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. Because what is current is untidy and messy. And we should demand it. You didn't give us a chance. You didn't give us a choice. You didn't involve, but now we're saying that you have to deliver us before any elections is called.
Yeah. Yes, I agree 100%. That is very untidy, and it's a demand. You want my vote? You should give us a Republican Constitution, something more than what we have. I mean, they're even not taking into consideration the agreements of the proposals from the Constitutional Reform Commission. They're looking at minority ideas. Things about changing the speaker to be somebody independent and stuff. A lot of frivolous things they're doing. A lot of tinkering that they're doing. I think this is something that people should demand. If you can't give us a real constitution, then you can't get our vote. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, can't get your vote. And I think this is why I asked the question, because when we go to the polls to vote, that should be a deciding factor.
Yeah.
Do we have a Republican Constitution? We don't. Well, you're not getting our vote. No Republican Constitution, you're not getting our vote. Simple. We shouldn't even be having elections.
Agree.
We shouldn't even be having elections, Mr. Babb.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Correct.
Somebody said message to the level of total disrespect. This is the part, I tell you, Mr. Bob, I keep telling you in particular this part of it gets me so annoyed. Mr. Hines, just the thought of Barbados being disrespected in such a way. How on earth? 4 years and no Republican Constitution? And you're going to tell me all these lawyers sitting down inside here, all these lawyers that your parents, a lot of you wear one pair of shoes up and down, work in fields, your grandparents. Huh? And you can't make any noise about this in here? All these lawyers, your parents, some of you wear underwear with holes in it to ensure that you finish law school. Put everything in you. This country gave you everything. Where are the lawyers to stand up for the people in this country? How on earth we're supposed to be functioning 4 years without a Republican Constitution? And when Mr. Thorne speaks about it, he's a problem. We're hearing a lot of noise coming through somebody's microphone. Yes, somebody's microphone. Yeah, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. I can't. I'm reading the comments. Barbadians need to rise up and speak up about the Republican constitutionality. If they had time to tinker, yes, if they had time to tinker with the existing one, that's what Mr. Hines is saying. Every minute they went and even go change it to put people in the Senate, to put their friends in the Senate, to bring this Minister of Education, Kay McConnell, who was disastrous. Huh? And they go and they tinker, but they believe they can do that kind of thing and get away with it with Barbadians. They should never get your vote. And guys, I mean, this is crazy.
And you know what, too, Marcia, they put together some of the best brains in this country on commissions 4 years ago. Who gave them ideas? And 4 years later, nothing has been done about it. Nothing. So they have insulted, they have shown disrespect for the intellectuals who were on those commissions, and they have no respect for the time that they gave to ensure that we have this. So I am saying that they can't deliver on a Republican Constitution before the next election. They have shown that they're incompetent in terms of governance. So why continue with them?
Yep.
We're hearing some background noise there, Mr. Hines.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is I'm reading the chat. I'm reading the chat. That's why I'm pausing. Right, guys, let's stay on this. Let's stay on this. We want to milk this for everything that we can here tonight, guys. Let's stay on this. What is Stephen saying? Listen, these people can do what they like. We are to discuss. I'm not sure. The whole thing, the whole thing was just wrong.
It was messy. It was messy. It was messy.
Totally messy, and we allowed them to get away with it with the last election, and that's why they believe that we're doormats. You know, that's why they think we're doormats. Let's hear what the opposition leader is saying about this. Go ahead, Dave. I think that's
that you have these three separate institutions which constitute the state. And I want to say that a constitution really is not such unless one is willing to pause and regard these three institutions as the pillars of the state. I repeat, the cabinet, very powerful institution. I think the people of Barbados, more now than ever, are aware of this. The parliament, obviously, is a very powerful institution. It passes law which governs the conduct of every individual in this country, including those who pass that law. And of course, as I've said, the judiciary stands apart, not above, it stands apart, and every matter of dispute or declaration which obtains in this country goes to that body called the judiciary. And as I've said, they are separate. That is why you have the doctrine, separation of powers, and it is precisely what it says. Powers are separate between these three institutions so that no one institution or one person will exercise tyrannical power. Beg your pardon? I hope you did not hear that, sir. But we need these moments sometimes. One will hear lawyers and constitutional lawyers indicate that although you have a head of state, which in our system is the president, and you will have a head of government, which is the prime minister, and you will have a chief justice, who is the head of the judiciary, none of those persons rule this country. This country is ruled by a constitution. Isn't that a remarkable thing? An artificial document exercises rule over this country so that the actors, the human beings who believe that they may have all this power, that power is limited by the constitution. Yes, yes. The Prime Minister in this academic enterprise is engaging me, and I'm happy for that engagement. But I will say to the Prime Minister that the concept of parliamentary supremacy or parliamentary sovereignty is an English concept. It is a concept that applies in England because England does not have a written constitution. And at the heart of what they call British or English constitutional law is this concept of parliamentary sovereignty. They don't have a written constitution, and so Parliament is given sovereignty. Parliament in England can do almost anything without reference to any written constitution because there is no written constitution in England. In fact, the English constitution, they say, legal scholars will tell you that it is a series of conventions. And the Honorable Prime Minister did correctly this morning refer to an English convention.
Yeah. But you know, thank God for the leader of the opposition. They're, you know, schooling them about constitutional, you know, the importance of the Constitution, etc. But I think, you know, Mr. Bob, one of the things, I know Ms. McLean is getting ready to join us on this matter because it is important, very, very important. I think one of the other things that really concern me, viewers and guests and panelists, it's the fact that in 2005, there was a referendum act that was passed. And it explicitly, from what I'm seeing, and you can correct me, I didn't study law, but it was based on what I found today, that it explicitly provided for a referendum on the question on whether Barbados should become a parliamentary republic with a citizen as head of state. Right? And in 2008, so in 2005, this is when this would be under, I believe it was under Mr. Owen Arthur, the same BLP party when they were in power. Mr. Bob, you can double check me on that, but in 2005, I think the BLP were in power, and the referendum.
Yes, you're correct.
Thank you. The referendum act was passed, okay, and that it says, you know, it provided for a referendum on the question of Barbados becoming a republic. In 2008, right, in their election manifesto, the Barbados Labour Party manifesto, the party promised voters that they would consult the public fully by way of a referendum before making the transition to a republic. Viewers, you can check me if I'm wrong, but the 2008 manifesto, the Barbados Labour Party manifesto, they promised the voters, they promised you, they promised me, they would consult the public by way of a referendum. Did that happen? No. But what did they do in 2021? They went and they amended the constitution in parliament, and without a public vote, Barbados became a republic. The question is, should this matter to people, the voters, as they go to the voting booth? Stephen is asking, did we have a referendum? No, we did not.
I don't think the Referendum Act was ever proclaimed, and there is a clause in that act that it must be proclaimed. So
and
it really isn't.
It was just passed.
Yeah, it was just passed. So it really isn't law.
It's not law, but it was in their manifesto though in 2018.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it was in the 2018. But thanks for that, Adrian. So it was passed, but it wasn't proclaimed. Adrian is correcting us. All right, but it was in the 2018 manifesto. Somebody says it was a promise. Another one, another broken promise. So the question is,
we need to list these out. I keep saying that we need to list these things out, that this government and even under Owen Arthur made a lot of promises that didn't materialize into anything to benefit us, the people. A lot of talk, but we never get anywhere with them.
Promises, guys, promises. We're taking our time because we wanted to think about it. We are doing, this is our end of term, for the end of term BLP government grade card. What are you going to give them for the transition to a republic? What has changed over the 4 years? What really changed? You know, Adrian, another thing, as I see Miss McLean getting ready to come in, and Mr. Bob is, Miss McLean will give me a thumbs up when she's ready. I'm not seeing any movement from Miss McLean. I wonder if she's all is well. Okay, I see her moving now. She has to give me a thumbs up when she's ready. Oh, okay. All right. I'm seeing the thumbs up now, which just seem to be sticking though. Okay, let's see. Good night. Good night, Miss McLean.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening. We're hearing you, thank God.
Thanks.
Yes.
And let me just apologize for my lateness, but my church is celebrating its 189th anniversary, and in fact, I ran away and I was told, "You're going for the show again." By somebody. So I had a pretty hectic day. I was also at a church service this morning with members of the Democratic Labour Party celebrating part of our independence and 70th anniversary. So thank you very much, Judith. But I was trying to listen as I refreshed my face to the discussion, because and one of the last things I heard Adrian mention was the need to list these failures, as I call them. You know, so here I am. Good evening,
well, go right ahead. We've been talking all night, so
okay.
You know, go ahead, and we will have a discussion back and forth as you break. But
okay.
you know, your thoughts on this? We are looking at the transitioning to a republic, and we are looking at it in the context that we believe elections are going to be called very soon, probably.
Well, I think so. I think so. All the signs are there. You would notice that there's a lot of focusing on members of cabinet. People are turning up on your television screens and your radios and so on. And I believe that it is elections are in fact imminent, because when you look at the preparations. But I want to look at this issue of us becoming a republic within the context of what will be an attempt by this administration to secure a third term in office, not albeit that these would be shortened. You know, our constitutional arrangements are that you serve for 5 years with an outer limit of 3 months after that 5 year. But we saw a shortened period chosen, and if elections are due in 2027. And so if we have elections in January, February, as some people are suggesting, or March even, we are talking about a shortening it by a year, essentially, and then you subtract the other one. And the question is, why is that happening? And what is it that this government under Mayor Motley has promised Barbadians? Now, you're talking about transition into a republic, and I heard some of the excerpt from Mr. Thorne just now, the leader of the opposition, speaking about what essentially is the significance of a constitution, and it's an overarching document, to simplify it, which governs the operations of government. It speaks to governance. It talks about all the elements, or the elements or components of what constitutes government. It talks about the role of cabinet, the role of parliament, the role of the judiciary, and there are a whole set of issues in there. Thank you very much, Andrea. A whole set of issues in there that are absolutely critical. It is the supreme document, so to speak. Now, if you are saying that we are going to transition from a Westminster model of government to a republic, first of all, what kind of republic has been the question from even Errol Barrow days? Because, and remember, we became independent 60 years ago. And at that time, the discussion was, you know, do we go fully republic, or do we, you know, we have a transition? Now, as far as I'm concerned, what I saw play out in Barbados, or should I say what I am seeing playing out in Barbados, is highly disrespectful to the people of Barbados. It is disrespectful to the constitution of the country, which is really the supreme document, which guides government, it guides governance, it explains to citizens their rights. I mean, I was hoping that I could have picked up my constitution, and if I glimpse it at some point, to go through, to let people see. You can pull it up, Barbadians, on your computer. And if look at the sheer comprehensive nature of the document, the very important issues which are spelled out in the Constitution. And as far as I'm concerned, the Prime Minister of Barbados, and indeed the cabinet, because they're collective, there is collective responsibility. And even if they say, well, we are guided by, or we don't know, or whatever the case may be, they are all responsible. for the tinkering with a document of that nature. And you made a very important point. A previous Barbados Labour Party administration under Owen Arthur, and later on in the manifesto of Mayor Motley's as head, made a commitment to come to the people, not only to vote on it, but to consult with the people. Let us hear from Barbadians what they consider to be important elements that should go into that constitution. As it says, the constitution is supreme law. It talks about citizenship, and you can see in there, and that is very critical at this point in time, when we talk about an agreement that was made with some other members of CARICOM, and if you scroll down, you would see the various chapters and the very comprehensive nature of that. It talks about protection of fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual. And so it governs how this country operates, whether it is the cabinet making decisions, whether it is parliament, and the structure that it has in terms of the House and the Senate, etc. It talks about the independence of the judiciary. So we want to know that beyond taking a decision, which is, I would call it was self-serving, because the first change that was made is that we severed ties with our former colonial head, the Queen as head of state. We now have a president. But interestingly enough, one of the main changes would have been to reduce the time in office that person sitting as president will hold. We never had term limits before. We had a tradition where we appointed somebody, typically a senior person in age, quite competent, etc. But that person either chose to resign or died in office. Now, I am not saying that term limits may be right or wrong, but let the people have a say in that. We have essentially a president who is still largely ceremonial. Is that what Barbadians want? Have we had a definitive position on that? You mentioned so in essence, what we have seen is a continuation of a bad approach, and I emphasize a bad approach to decision making. I put on my head as a person who trained people in management and practiced management and sat in places where at the very senior level in corporations, large and small. And part of what characterizes the administration of Mia Motley as Prime Minister, because she's the head of cabinet, I still emphasize collective responsibility. But one of the things that we see consistently are a series of decisions being taken. Decisions are being taken, and from all that the public is able to see, those things are made almost from like a seat of the pants kind of thing. There's no evidence that there's serious thought and effort going into addressing the issues that need to be addressed in advance of the decision. So we get a decision to become a republic, but we have not settled, and this is what, 4 years now? We go 4 years. 4 years now. We have not settled on what is the most important thing, and that is the Constitution. We've come back, and that's why I say self-serving. You want to make some changes in relation to the head, and you probably want to have something to consider your legacy. And then we come back now recently, and we tinkered again in terms of the position of speaker. Now, I asked myself, why? Let's look at it from the question of elections and politics and so on. And this is how I analyze it, and you can tell me if it making sense to you. we have a speaker who has been allegedly replaced. I think they probably went through a nomination process. I understand that there's somebody canvassing in the position in the constituency where the speaker currently sits out, the constituency he represents. So that means that in the absence of him going somewhere else, he is being removed, right? But remember, he's the speaker. And then you come and you say, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with having an independent speaker. But my question is, suppose, now this is a supposition, suppose having changed the constitution to appoint an independent speaker, you turn to Barbadians and say, you know what? Assuming that they continue to be in office, and for all you know, there could be a by-election and he can be replaced, and 6 months later brought back and said, oh, this is the person we want to put as an independent speaker. So to me, it almost, and that's just as I said, a supposition on my part, or to illustrate. But my concern is that we have not heard something which says, look, there is a logical approach to making decisions and implementing changes, but we're gonna do things in a haphazard, slapdash manner, even though you made serious promises. Now, my argument is also that when it comes to something like the Constitution, if you are making those promises, this is not something that you can lightly cast aside, right? And it is something that can shape the way we operate as a country. And therefore, to just say, well, we're gonna pick at it today and come back a couple of years later and pick at it again. Having appointed a commission, I one of the things when I came into the house, I heard Alvin speaking to this. You ask people to serve on this commission. And in fact, even before the appointment of the Constitutional Commission, 4+ years ago, the Prime Minister had signaled that she was going to undertake to set up a Parliamentary Reform Commission. Now, parliamentary reform falls under constitutional reform. And so the assumption would have been that if you're going to focus on the bigger matter, which is the Constitution, they would have come together, but they were separated. And maybe a good thing, having represented the Democratic Labour Party, I was asked by the then President Verla, that's how far back it was, to represent the party on the Parliamentary Reform Commission, and that continued. That commission met, presented a report, and it's complete. But we're still waiting to hear what's happened with the Constitutional Reform Commission. So here we are on the verge of an election based on what all the signs and what the Prime Minister did to call an early election for her first term, going into a possible election, and voters are still not clear what is the position as far as this country. What are we operating under? We have a constitution, but it is not a Republican constitution. And so what are we saying to Barbadians? That we can have a government that is operating fast and loose, that one day the Prime Minister wakes up and decides, well, we're going in this direction, and I'm not going to follow the normal procedures of putting all the things in place, and as to use a phrase, a colloquial phrase, get all our ducks in line, and get these things in order, and then take a decision. But rather, we don't honor the commitment to involve the people on a matter that is going to impact on all of our lives. But we continue in the same way that we have done with these other issues. Educational reform. We're hearing some things there. We've seen some major.
We're gonna deal with that one tomorrow. So what we're
I was just saying that is like that. When you look, this one is you look at it later, but it is just a pattern of poor decision making. I will pause there because we can talk
Yes.
some more, you know.
Yes,
But I
yes.
think that is part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it'd
as
be great
Adrian
to,
says, the Constitution is a serious document that is being treated as much less than that. You know, and that's serious.
yeah. Adrian, if you can unmute your mic there, because I think Miss McLean has continue to raise, because we were raising some of these issues
Yeah.
here, and even with her involvement on the part the Reform Commission. What am I saying?
Parliamentary.
Parliamentary Reform Commission, PRC. You know, she brings a certain level of understanding to this. Mr. Hines, what are your? Can you further elaborate on what you put there in the comment section?
I not that I can. I think Maxine has eloquently stated what we were hinting at all along, that this government continues to demonstrate a level of poor governance, and this is yet another example of that. That something as important as changes to the Constitution, from which we all subscribe to, or as our patriotism comes from that. We look to it, we live it. The country is governed by the Constitution. So, and that's the reason why it requires a 2/3 majority of Parliament in order to make changes to it, and it's being treated to in this manner, right? Again, this is more proof that the governance is extremely poor. This is another one that those individuals, anybody can separate out and say, on this one item, constitutional reform, I'm going to vote no against this government because they've done a poor job. So that there's the whole concept of transitioning to a republic, how they treated to constitutional reform, even parliamentary reform. All of these things are demonstrative of a situation where this government cannot complete things, or they cannot process legislation and other parliamentary procedures properly to a resolution or to a conclusion to the satisfaction of anybody. Everything is in limbo. Everything is in limbo, and it's just ridiculous how the government is being run. So, yeah, I think Maxine did a fantastic job in developing those ideas that we started to broach on earlier.
Yeah. And Miss McLean, let's if people are, we have voters who are watching, and I'm hoping that everybody is going to vote. This issue, how important you think this issue should be to voters as they go to to the polls?
I think it's very important because, as I said, if the average Barbadian takes the time to understand the supremacy of the Constitution, the role the Constitution plays in governing how government functions, and when I say government in all its facets, because government, we're talking, as I said, about the parliamentary process where people sit to make legislation that impacts our lives, whether it is legislation to make us pay taxes, legislation to determine what has to happen when we put a car on the road, legislation that can tell us, cybercrime, for example. Just think of the range of things, decisions that government makes on behalf of people that impact on people. When it talks about the relationship between the cabinet as that body of politicians who I'm trying to simplify it, who run the country. In other words, the elements of the Constitution, who becomes a citizen of Barbados, you can just go through the Constitution chapter by chapter and see how it touches our lives on a day-to-day basis at a very basic level. We talk about micro at the level of the individual, at the level of the community, at the level of the total society. When we understand that the various things that are captured in there, the issues that are captured, the Constitution impacts us every day and essentially every facet of our lives. And if you are saying to us that we are being told, because I would have to say we've been told by the government through the Prime Minister that we have changed the status, and we were promised that we are going to have some say in what that change of status is supposed to be. In other words, what are the things that we want to see captured in here? And you have not taken us on board, or where you have taken us or say to us, we want your input. Nothing has been done. In fact, you took decisions in advance of taking, to change things before taking our views into consideration and examining them, and where you select certain recommendations over others, getting back to us and telling us this is why we took this on board, this is why we ignored that, this is how it's going to benefit you, and you have that discussion, etc. You're basically saying you don't matter. So in other words, while you will go and vote, your vote does not entitle you to anything beyond that point, because what you said is that when you vote for me, we will give you the opportunity to share your inputs. So to me, that tells me that I have to ask myself, you fail to live up to that promise. Can I trust you? Can I afford to support you against that background, where in fact it is not, it is by looking at the Constitution alone, it is very important. But if I look beyond that as a voter, it's a pattern. And we have been seeing that over and over again. And so it really comes down to what will you do if we say yes to you another time, given your record, given your record.
Yes. There's a question I want to ask the viewers, and I am not sure how this we will. I know somebody was trying to call earlier. I can try the phone, guys, and see if it's going to work. 236-7000. And this is the question, and when you call, we want you to stay on the topic, please. All right, let's stay on the topic and tonight. The question is, if you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all? If you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all? When you think of independence, there's a certain feeling that you have. When you think of being a republic, you can feel the difference. If you can't feel it, you might say, I feel the difference. If you don't feel the difference, you don't see the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all as a Barbadian? That's the question. So use the comment section, or you can call in. This is your time. I'm trusting that the phone is going to work for you. Really hope so. But we're going to ask you to call in and to make to answer that question or comment. Any comments there, Ms. McLean? Anybody can help me to read? See if we have any comments there.
I would have to go on my other system.
Okay,
to
okay.
comment.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up on this and mute it.
Right. The question is right there. If you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all? Okay, somebody's calling. Let me hope that we can hear that. Yes. Yes. Good night. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Big Show.
Thank you. Let me just remove thing off so I can make my point here. Yes, the Constitution does matter. Okay, I got it. Okay, the Constitution does matter. Where is my sovereignty? Where is the information that I need to be able to live and prosper in my own island? Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in Czechoslovakia. I'm not in the States, not in England. I'm here. I've been for many, many moons. Now I want to know how it is that I can get land at my price as a Barbadian, how it is that I can actually have a possession of a pistol or some sort of weapon to protect myself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How am I going to be able to advance in Barbados? What things in the Constitution helps me to go along? I cannot continue to live blindly, and this is what this government is doing to me. I have to live blind and hope and pray and wish? I don't think so. I should have an ability to say, this is what I would like as an individual, and hope that many other individuals have the same feeling. We have a situation where land in Barbados, I can remember, it was $3 and $4 and $6 a square foot. Now the land is now over $25 a square foot. How is this program? And for the people in Barbados, we cannot handle that. This is not an island that is actually run by us. This is an island that seems to be run by people that have other ambitions that are not including us. And I'm very disappointed in this administration that's running this government right now. I am sorry.
Yeah, let me hold you there. Caller, don't go, because I'm interested. I'm seriously interested. In you answering this question for me, I have two questions to you. If you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all? Straight answer.
Yes, I think the difference is worse, and that's why the republic is most important to me.
You feel the difference, but it's worse. So let me ask you, let me ask you something, sir. Did you vote in the last election?
Yes, I did.
What about the one before?
Yes, I did again.
You did. And in the one in 2018, did you vote? Can I ask you that? You can do. I'm asking you. You can tell me it's none of my business.
No.
How did you vote?
No. The person that I wanted to actually run the country or help me run my constituency, they didn't get in.
Okay.
Take sense from that. So right now, the situation is that the other party, all right, had the ability to do as they like, and they have done nothing positive.
Yes.
I am sorry. I'm disappointed.
You're disappointed.
I am very disappointed.
Are you voting? Well, it seems as
Oh,
though.
yes. I will never stop trying. I don't ever stop.
Wow.
In Jesus' name, no way. I have to. And not only as just a person, but as a believer, I must. And I hope that all believers on this channel hearing this, you have a right by your father. The first voting was done when they said they wanted a king and the people got Saul. That was the first voting. So God was involved in that, and you understand we must be involved now because the government is on the shoulders of who? Christ. And who is the shoulder? The body, right? We are the ones who are responsible for what the country does. We are the body of Christ. We are the ones that have the government on our shoulders. When he said in another, and I don't mean to go prolong, but when he says in another instance, if my people, who's my people? The believers, the body, who are called my name, to humble themselves, turn for the wicked way, seek my face, I will hear from heaven and heal their land.
So you're saying they don't just need to pray, they need to vote as well.
They need to work. Faith without works is dead.
Okay.
Get up and vote, because you have dead faith if you just praying. Get up and vote. Do something.
Understood.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you. Thank you, caller. So again, the line is now free, so you can call again. Please let us stick with the topic that we are dealing with. Good night, caller. That's good night, caller. Finally. I know you were trying earlier.
Good night, Marcia, Maxine, and the gentleman that you have at your panelist.
Mr. Hines is his name.
Mr. Hines. I can't remember his name. First, I called to tell you that I'm sorry that I didn't attend on Saturday because you know my condition.
Yes, no problem.
Right. And secondly, I called to let you know I haven't got my 1,300 in 2021. I even called my bank and they said nothing and put on in 2021. I want my 1,300.
Oh, this is right. The reverse tax credit.
Right.
Okay.
My name is Julie Joseph. If you want to know, let it know that they may put all my money for me.
Yes.
I even called the bank, and the bank said nothing happened put on that year for 2022 for that year. I get 2022, well, I retire. And I know I won't be getting no more 3000, but I can get 2021 3000.
Okay.
And they will like it.
No problem. No problem. So I will let you. There's an accountant that I'm going to let you ask her to speak with you tomorrow. Okay. But let me ask you something that I have you on the line, Miss Jills. If you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all?
It don't matter because I don't want no republic. I want independence. And another thing too, for the time this BIP get in, I was suffering. They put on a big amount of separation on the Barbadian public. They have to go. We want them out. Too much suffering, too much violence, and it's not right. Your young people victimizing and everything. That is not right. This party needs to go, have to go. Have to not as they today, yesterday, they need to go, have to go.
They have to go. Well, thank you so much, Miss Jill, for calling, and I do hope that you're not just talking, but you would vote as well.
I voted, and they voted for the Democratic Labour Party. Nobody else. Anybody could ask me, could tell us straight away, voted for, because this party called, because they could vote for anybody. I voted for Democratic Labour Party.
Okay.
From the time I was 18 years old, I voted them, because it was always a better party than the BLP. I never stick at the Democratic Labour Party. I am not moving from the Democratic Labour Party.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Jokes. Thank you so much for calling.
All right. Thank you. Have a pleasant night.
Yes. I will reach out to the accountant for you, okay? And ask a question.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so guys, thank you. The line is open for you to call in. The line is open for you to call in. Now, sometimes, we put up this thing, vote them out. Remember that there are lots of the different parties out there. The point is this, that when you look at the all that is happening right there on the card, and we're talking tonight, because each night we're doing something different, Miss McLean. And we are looking at the transitioning to a republic. This is their the end of term report card designed by former Senator Gill, right? Transition into a republic, we are determining whether it's a pass or a fail. Somebody said that they would have to redesign this whole card because they will have to tell, they said they could not put a grade. They will have to send them back to repeat the term. Well, we don't want them repeating no term. We don't want them repeating no term at all. All right. So there's another caller. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Let's hope we can hear this person properly. Good night. Welcome to the Marcy Week Show.
Blessings to you, Marcy Weeks, once again, Master McLean and Mr. Haynes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The question to you tonight, if you don't feel the difference 4 years later, does the republic matter to you at all?
Yes, I feel the facts of the republic, because the republic got the whole Barbados is a cemetery right now. Everything dead. That's one.
Yes.
Two, this republic is a smart way of dictatorship. 3, want to take away independence. Want to wipe out everybody, and that cannot happen. Barbadians need to open because them my mother's agenda, Mr. Barbadian Party, is supposed to go to erase everybody and go legacy of her. So that's why she said that all Barbadians follow to love what Barbados no, to follow love with she. Because she feels she all Barbados. It all deal with she. But the honest truth now, right? Barbadian Party need to grow up. I know it's about the people, not about them. So when they want to structure Barbados into them agenda, that's called dictatorship, and they need to think twice. We don't need to be dictated. We need to be helped, and we need to grow. And we need to unite as one Barbados and a loyal Barbados and a lawyer for what rights and freedom. This at our bar set down years ago.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Akon. Very, very important points here. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad that we could hear you clearly. Thank you so much for calling.
Well, blessings to everyone. I make a voice to everybody. Go and vote. It's your rights and freedom and to bring back enlightenment to Barbados.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
Okay. Enjoy your rest of your night.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Ronnie.
Yes. Okay, Taroni. Thank you. Good to hear.
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yes. These callers on fire tonight. Let's see here. We're still having the call there. Let me just try and make sure that is closed up. Yes. Okay. I see Mr. Gill is trying to call, but Adrian or Miss McLean, you can jump right in there as we set up the next call.
Well, no, I think from the couple calls that we've had, people are concerned. I'm happy to hear that people are prepared to vote, because a failure to vote really is an application of your responsibility. That is almost an endorsement of the things that you criticize. And so I believe that on election, people should see the value and the significance and the importance of voting. You hear people complain, let's say, because we talk about the Constitution and all of these things, but people are very uncomfortable with ambiguity, because you do not know from month to month, week to week, or from sittings of Parliament what will come. You see legislation coming at very short notice, impacting on you, and so at the heart of this, again, I just repeat myself, is the question of trust / lack of trust. And the uncertainty does not do anything to build that. In fact, it makes you wonder why this is not being prioritized. Because if, as we say and as we know, our Constitution is important, and the fact that we have changed our status from a Westminster type democracy to a parliamentary republic, that's a significant difference. But people need to understand what exactly is the nature of the difference. How much are you prepared to change? What is it that we want to hold on to outside of removing ourselves from being or had to stay out of the UK? What else do we want to see that really constitutes a type of government and country that is representative of the wishes of the people? But we haven't heard it. And it is treated as if this is an insignificant piece of legislation that we can tamper with and, tinker with from time to time. Yeah. And it really,
if I could just there's a caller on the line. Just hold your thought there. I know sometimes it's hard to, I hate to interrupt you all, but I wanted to hear this caller. He's been waiting. Caller, welcome to the Marcia Week Show, and everybody gonna know your voice. This is David. This is former Senator Gill, and a former MP as well, you would tell me. And he's the one who designed this end of term performance card. Good night, Mr. Gill.
Good evening, Marcia, and your lofty panel. Good
evening, Mr. David. How are you?
I'm well. This I would be scared if I had to come up against 4 people who were involved in teaching and education to have my future decided on by the 4 of you. I mean, whether you're gonna be superannuated, whether they're gonna keep me down, or whether whether they're gonna remove me to a fifth remove or a five remove. But let us get to this. This whole Republican thing or Republic thing was around for a while. I remember when it was last debated, and you were getting a little hype about it. It was just after either an estimate or a budget. Mr. Arthur was putting on his election suit. His election suit was already on. And he called Mark Williams, Joe Edgell, and myself. The three of them are no longer around. And he said that's not the only thing that he called the three of us aside to query. I think the other one was what was it? What was our opinion on the abuse of drugs by young people? But that is another debate for another time. And Mark said, sir, it's not going down well with the people. Joe said, sir, I agree with Mark. He says, Mr. Gill, he was always very formal. I said, sir, I think you should leave that thing where it is. And because as we were canvassing, we were getting the feedback that the people really were not in favor of it. And it was being done for personal reasons. And people were to be made president, and there were many members of parliament from our society who were in favor of it. Now, I remembered, I don't know, Maxine would know Tobacco Beckles and at least one other of your panelists should know Tobacco Beckles, who we used to call him Tobacco Beckles. He was manager of the national football team. And one evening while Thompson, into the late evening, he saw me. He said, you could always tell that Tobacco, he was loud above all of it. And he said, Mr. Gill, tell me something. Y'all better, I know, come out of a country which is a Republican state. It was one of the Central America, Guatemala, one. He says, listen, all these states that we go in Latin America, in Central America, you'll see people driving around the junta, they're driving around armed police. He said, tell Mr. Arthur, don't go there. We don't want it. It's being discussed at the airport, all over the place. And he says, nah, we don't want it. But what I've found is, when it comes to matters like the Constitution, but for my part, I don't see, like Maxine, why they should have separated parliamentary reform from the constitutional reform. They all fall under the same umbrella. So I didn't see the reason. I couldn't see it. And we are no further. But look also at the Commission on Crime. They haven't gotten anywhere. One chairman resigned. We've appointed another one. We haven't heard anything. And there was Ms. Berta de Pisa, was asked by her leader to pull together a group and to have a report on the crime. And that has gone down so smoothly. And I think government could have actually, I saw after took some of the NDP's manifesto and worked with it and got it out of the way. He knew it wasn't Haynes who was the man behind that. He knew it was Bendel McLean, Maxine's brother, and Frank Alley, that type of brain that was in it. And therefore, it was worthy of adopting some of the measures. So I am beginning to see that when matters which require a certain modicum of deep scholarship and dedication and hands to the plow, it doesn't seem to go. I don't know why. If it is you do not have the human resources, but that is one for sure. The parliamentary reform, the constitutional reform, and I would say that in this event, they have failed. When it is not sending a good message. I mean, I was a little boy. I heard the names of men, 2 or 3 men who were involved in the Barbados Constitution. You heard of man called Sir Oliver Jackman, a scholar, Sir Roy Marshall, another scholar, and I can't remember, but these were names that you used to hear. And I was not as knowledgeable as I am now, but I took these men to be bright men, and I backtracked and said, well, look, they seem to have gone through that issue with a breeze. Why is it that they haven't gotten any further? And I recall the evening, or one of the evenings of the debate, because I guess it went over more than one. I was out that evening. It was during COVID. And, you know, you couldn't move around as freely as it. So I used to go and you know, I picked back up my golf clubs and balls and everything. I used to go and swing to get exercise and to pick back up the game. But since COVID gone, give on back. And there was a building where I was close by where I was striking the ball. And I went over and I asked the gentleman if I could come in and listen. He said, yeah, man, come in and listen. And I listened to the debate. And Marcia, I was less than impressed with the contribution of the majority of the members of Parliament. You know, one or two who were legal scholars, made good, but all of the others just spoke about we have now moved away from the tail of the monarchy and the, you know, the last vestiges of colonialism have been stripped, and the bastion of the same nonsense, I shouldn't say nonsense, the same rhetoric, everyone got it. So much so I went on and continued my practice. And not laboring the belaboring it. I also recall a young man seeing me, and he was ecstatic. He says, but Mr. Kinney, you don't seem too high on this. I said, no, why? I said, you know that we were a parliamentary republic, just that we have. If Mr. Barr wanted to do it, he could have done it. If they could have done it. But in my opinion, it's just you've taken these big decisions, I'll go ahead. But he said, no, man, our laws no longer have to go to England. We are going to be free now to vote. We're going to have a lot more say in what goes to Parliament. And you've seen the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's not been included in that and cybercrime. We have not been to the extent that we had anticipated, no referendum. And if you had promised the people, and I use these countries, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, the same thing, you had failed those people. The next time they come to vote, you better believe it, you will be gone. Hmm. But we treat these things rather trite. And as you say, we have to go out and vote. And then you're finished with this performance card. I tell you, but I'm beginning to wonder if people had drifted away because 22 over 2018, there was significant slippage. People have walked away from the poll. And I like to see how a party comes in and goes out. I use the analogy of a pendulum, a grandfather's clock pendulum. The pendulum comes into you when you're popular. It keeps coming at you, man, it would knock you over. And then it resides with you for a while. Sometimes it pushes it back even further, you become more popular. And I'm saying to you, Marcia, that the slippage away, and again, this is another topic for another time, but with elections closer, more closer than a lot of people might think, because I'm telling you, the administration is not going to allow Mr. Thorne another chance to speak at the budget. At the budget. Estimates on budget, because estimates is the budget. That is not the estimates or the formal budget speak. He will not, because he scored heavily in the first, and he decimated the Mr. Ryan Strong, and he took over Parliament. He spoke. There were some people who were annoyed, but he knew what he was doing. He took it over and he addressed every head point by point. He didn't abuse his privilege at all. And they will not be giving Mr. Thorne that opportunity. You know what, Mr. Thorne, what has struck me about the man, I mean, I've known him for years, but I didn't know his parliamentary skills. I know he's a very astute lawyer and a learned individual in constitutional law. But bill after bill after bill after bill, Mr. Thorne plays with it like a puppy with a ball. You know, you give a puppy a ball and he puts it from hand to hand, and that is his forum. And he looks at it, he looks at the constitutionality. He looks at if it is an equitable legislation. He looks at it to see if there is the principle of proportionality coming out. He looks at all those things. And then he throws it back and he says, now look, we'll get that into good law. So he's not going to be allowed another opportunity to do that. So I am saying that these big ticket items, we know what they all are. These big ticket items, government has failed. Government has failed, and they failed atrociously. That is how I see it. And people have to vote and vote because the government is our trustees, and we have put our assets, be they property, real or otherwise, investment, whatever, beachfronts, whatever, or bank, whatever. We have put those things into the hands of the trustees to run for us. And when you are not pleased with how the trustees are running your affairs, you appoint another trustee or trustees. So that firm of trustees has to be rebuilt. And that is my contribution. That is my contribution for this.
Yes, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very well said. And thank you for this card that you have designed. The Barbados government end of term performance card, and and you are hearing the voice of Mr. David Gale, former BLP senator and BLP MP. Thank you for your contribution. And as you know, tomorrow we're going to be dealing with education reform, and I would love for you to call in again. Okay.
I will be, by the grace of God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Adrian, we haven't heard from you in a little. Adrian, while I set up the next caller, I know you have some comments there. If you can read the comments, Adrian, your camera is turned off. I don't know if it was by mistake or design.
Let's see. Yes, by mistake.
By mistake. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we have a caller. While you're figuring it out, there's a caller calling in at this time. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Blessed good night to you and the panel.
Yes, good night.
I'm answering your first question. And if you feel the difference after 4 years, and does the Republic matter? I feel the difference after 4 years. I feel a despotic governance as opposed to people governance. That's the difference that I feel. I feel the difference between integrity and deception. I feel the difference between party first.
He's dropped out.
Seems like he dropped out. Okay. Adrian, are you there? Adrian, your camera is still off. Probably having some technical issues there. Okay, caller, if the caller could okay, if the caller can call back, can you just call back, please? Okay, all right, he's calling back. Thank you. Yes, caller.
Yes, please.
Yes, welcome again. Please continue. Thank you so much for calling back.
Well, I am really feeling the difference in whether or not people has issues with the truth with this republic, because there's never a time that we had so much interference, even in the internet. So we're feeling the difference. As I was saying, I'm feeling the difference between on-hand leadership versus remote leadership. That's the difference that I'm feeling. Now, does the Republic matter? I says that it is an exercise in our mental health. It shows us who can be brought. It tells us to don't vote for leaders that has a history that does not fall in line with moral principles. It tells us that the more things change, the more they become burdensome. And lastly, we seem to have a knowledge of constitutional legal gimmicks to control citizens. That is what the Republic, being a republic, seem to be giving us, a knowledge of constitutional legal gimmicks in order to control citizens. This is what the Republic matters to us, at least to me.
To you at this time,
All these
yes,
changes.
after the 4 years. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
You're
calling.
welcome.
Thank you. Yes, Adrian, you were going to say something when you dropped out.
Yeah. So Maxine, Monica, I think it's Monica. Yeah, had a question for you. She wanted to know. She said, "What? Tell me, why does all Christchurch residents have to go to St. Christopher Resource Center to find out if their name is on the voters list?"
They shouldn't have to go there only because if, let's say, a Christchurch resident is working in the Warrens area, they should be able to go to the electoral office and find out about whether the name is on the list. So, they've made provision for some of these, but the person can go to another location because they should, any location, as far as I understand, should have a complete list. Now the question is, does the person assume that they had to go there because it was identified in Christchurch, or were they told? So that would be interesting to find out, because then that would have been wrong information.
I wonder if Dave could pass me. I'm deliberately cutting you there, Miss McLean. Dave, can you look bring me ours? Let me read it to see if because I haven't gone yet. Yeah, just to see. Dave, can you bring that mine for me, please? Thank you, because I voted since I've been here all the time, but they know they're telling me something else. Okay, I want to see what they're saying.
What the flyer says. What the
thing says. Let me help somebody here. Okay. All right. So our entire household got, and it's telling us to go to okay. It says okay, it's giving you all the different centers, okay?
Right.
So it says to facilitate the updating of your records, the registration centers listed below will be open for the purpose of checking names and for any update to the register. These centers will be open from Monday, October 27th until Friday, November 7th. Okay. And additionally, you may wish to visit the electoral department first floor Warrens Towers Monday to Friday between the hours 8:30 and 4. So am I to understand that if you miss the November 7th date, you can go to the electoral department anytime?
Well, you should be able to go anytime to check that your name is on the voters list. I think what is happening, if you remember, there was an exercise using postal workers, but they seem to really were doing an enumeration exercise. I personally, and I will say this because I made it clear elsewhere, that I never heard or saw any postal worker, neither did I see anything signaling to me that the person had visited and I was not at home, because that's what should happen. What I would say to people is that they make an effort to check, because it's important. I went to my sister's house and I actually collected a notice that was sent because my late brother-in-law died. This is about 10 years or more. And a letter was sent to him to check. On the other hand, I had a nephew, my same sister's son, who died very recently, and the name was off. I think it is something people need to check, and I'm getting feedback from people, and I'm getting feedback that people are expressing concerns about the state of the list. Now, why is this important within the context of all that we've been discussing here? We've been talking about the Constitution, but the context in which we are discussing the Constitution in relation to republic status is the likelihood of a general election being called within months. And the value, or if I can use another word, the accuracy, the legitimacy of an election is very dependent on a quality of vote, an accurate voters list. You know, and I mean, I think it is important that we do this. And I want to place on the table something as we're talking about the Constitution and the notion and the fact that the notion of the importance of the Constitution. And one of the very first things we see when we open the physical document, that is the Constitution, whether we open it a hard copy or online, you know, virtual copy, is the issue of citizenship. I don't know if you saw, Marcia, a video going around, which I believe needs to be investigated, where the person is UK citizen with a passport of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, presenting himself to the electoral office and requesting, I think the word, a stronger word, demanding might have been used, requesting a national, a Barbados ID because he wants to get a passport. Now, the question about republic status, are we as a republic going to change the terms and conditions of citizenship, right? Because that's in the Constitution. And we, so far, we do not know what is in the mind of this administration, which at this point in time can change any element of the Constitution because they have more than a 2/3 majority. You understand? So a constitutional amendment requires a 2/3 majority in Parliament.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I mean, I've raised that because when we discuss these things, they can be discussed in isolation. The implications of the presence of changes in the Constitution or the absence of changes are many. The implications are many. And it talks about decisions that impact the citizen on a very personal level, or that can impact the citizen as part of the collective of people who constitute citizens of this country and constitute what we call Barbados.
Yes,
You
yes,
know?
yes. You know, I think, you know, Adrian, actually, Adrian, you have some more questions there. Is there any other question that we didn't, or comment that we should highlight, you think?
No, not really. Keith Padmore had one that I thought was interesting, but we've moved on from it. He had said, in his opinion, the delay in bringing a Republican Constitution is very deliberate, as it gives elbow room to the Prime Minister to carry out her assignments and agenda, which is a plausible case for why things haven't been done. I think she likes the power that she currently has, although she would argue against that by suggesting that she didn't have to include the leader of the opposition in determining who becomes the next president. That she could have kept that to herself, but that's neither here or there. She does exercise power to an extent that I have never seen other prime ministers done, and that's why I says the office of the prime minister has too much power.
As we are closing up, we have a couple minutes left. I thought that we could go through this together, because I really wanted us to stick to the one topic, Ms. McLean and Mr. Hines. I'm not seeing Mr. Bob. I don't know if he dropped out. Not seeing him. But I want us to kind of just review as we review and as we go through. If you have any quick comments to make, both of you and anybody in the audience, feel free to stop me. But did we really transition? When we're talking, I'm not here about death. We're talking about from independence to republicanism. Okay, symbolic change versus structural change. It's a republic without a Republican constitution, right? I'm trying to summarize what we're talking about here. The public perception is that it's incomplete. The transformation is incomplete.
Yep.
Adrian will watch the comment section and see if anybody wants to correct me on anything. We're summarizing because we're learning here, guys. We're learning. We want you to go away understanding what we're saying. The next slide. And thanks to Michelle for putting this to me quickly. Why people feel it was political and rushed, no referendum or national dialogue. This transition was under COVID. And we didn't get to go and celebrate because they only had a small number of people, and some people who were not vaccinated couldn't go. Perception that is not about us but about them. So this is what people really believe. Now, the next slide. Trust deficit and legitimacy challenge. Promises made versus promises delivered. Agree?
Yeah.
People feel excluded from nation building. It breeds skepticism toward leadership. So there's a trust deficit and legitimacy challenge. Anything there? Or should continue?
No, I think those capture very well some critical issues, so continue.
A republic without a foundation. Constitution still colonial. Lack of modern accountability, identity, youth inclusion. Feels cosmetic rather than transformational.
Again, that's correct.
What is the impact? Adrian, you were saying something there, no? No.
No.
Okay. The impact on voting behavior with this transition to republic. Older voters feel validated. Middle voters probably they see unreliability, and probably the youth feel invisible. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know if I agree as an older voter with the first one. I feel as an older voter who's been around following this issue, I feel offended. In other words, I'm not sure of the point, but to me, the other 2 points are clear. But I think older voters generally.
I think when they say validated, could it be in your views that something is wrong? Could be. I'm not sure.
Well, that's why I'm saying I'm not sure. Yeah. So that would need to be clarified for me.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Adrian, any thoughts on this?
I wasn't following along. I was actually trying to read some of the columns. So maybe if you had to go back to 4 and tell me, I'm not sure what impact on voting behavior, what they are trying to address with.
This is really like a summary we are doing of everything. Okay, let's go to the next number 6. The country feels stuck in transition. That I know is true.
Yes.
That I know. The unclear role of president. You know how many times, Adrian, we've been on here, Miss McLean, trying to explain it to people, and they still don't grasp it because we don't really understand for a lot of people what is even the role of the president. weak national identity framework, institutional ambiguity. I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yes, that's clear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah. Is it all political theater? Narratives of vanity project? Lack of follow-through strengthens doubt? Public interpretation, optics over transformation.
Yeah, that's what I concluded. I mean, yeah, it's either, the question is, why are you doing it, right? And the obvious question, the obvious answer that would satisfy most people is that you're doing it to uplift the country, to transition the country, to change the mentality of the body politic of the country. But you've done such a very poor job. You have to ask yourselves why. There's nothing stopping you from doing a better job. So the question is why? And then, you know, they're not going to tell us, obviously. So that's where we have to start filling in with our own opinions. And as a result, I came to the same conclusions here, that this is all about, this was a vanity project. It can't be anything else. There's no other reason for doing such a bad job.
Yeah. The next slide, Dave. Bottom line, honest reflection, historic but incomplete. We agree? People don't feel ownership. I told you about that senior person, we can't say elderly, that came to shelter in our yard, and she was really concerned, Miss McLean, because she just didn't know what to celebrate. She says November 30th, and I don't know what to celebrate.
And that's a genuine viewpoint, you know, because the whole decision to use the same day. I mean, if you look at those countries, Dominica is probably the only one that went into independence, if I remember correctly, as a republic. The others chose another day. They had independence and then they had Republic Day. But for some reason, well, I suppose my interpretation of it is that you want to eliminate independence, but you can't. It's you know, it's a part of our history. It's very real. It happened. We saw how it evolved and how it came to be and so on. But this is correct, because people have not been involved. I mean, even if there were no referendum, but there was national discussion and so on, this just came like a thief in the night. You know.
Yes.
Someone had a question about, I assumed they're pointing me back to something that Andrea said with regards to a section of the population that is not included, and I think they're referring to the disabled people. I don't know that we would want to call that out in the Constitution. There are laws that you can call, that obviously is attended to the Constitution in terms of, freedom of movement, etc., that you can more delineate what you intend with regards to inclusion for the disabled. I don't think it needs to be in the Constitution, because you can't put everything in the Constitution. And I might have heard something recently about laws specific to better treatment of the disabled. I could be wrong, but I think I might have heard something like that. There are two other things that I want to touch on. One from GTK Net. They say we need to change the political dynamic in Barbados by going for proportional representation. When will this be discussed and strongly advocated for? Now, GTK Net, that would require changes to legislation. And you have to form the government in order to make changes to legislation. So unless we have a citizenry that is more than 60% voters that can coalesce on a set of things that they want to see from a party trying to get their vote, that we can say, hey, you need to bring proportional representation, or bring some form of proportional representation that you're going to put in so you can get our vote. It's not going to happen, right? It has to become a law. I mean, they would have to change, what is it, the People's Representation Act, in order to have some kind of formal proportional representation in place. So it is, it is. And then there are some issues with proportional representation. So the whole thing would need to be discussed to see if it is really workable for us, and how bad is the current first past the post with regards to
and people did make recommendations and suggestions. That issue came up in the Parliament Reform Commission in the consultations that were had. You know, some people argued for it, some argued very strongly against it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but at least we got to hear from people and so on. But again, you have a report which captures recommendations, etc. But it is for government to come back and say these are the things that we have taken on board or we are contemplating, you know, rather than just come and pick out something and say we're gonna tinker with the role of the speaker and the appointment of the speaker and something else, you know. So go ahead, Marcia, with the next.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
another slide?
I think David seems like I think it was it. But thanks to Michelle for that, because I think it's important for us to, you know, just to
capture a
and
summary,
to,
yes.
yeah, to do a summary. And you know, it's important that we stop and think about this, even though it occurred 4 years ago. Election is around the corner, coming up again in another couple of months, and to us to go when we're going to vote, to remember these issues and to make an informed decision. We can't tell you who to vote for, but at least you have information. That's what we do here on the Marcia Reed Show. We educate, we motivate, we mobilize, and we agitate. You make up your mind on exactly what you want to do, but guess what? You will have an informed mind. All right? And that is really what we're all about. This entire the next 12 shows, because we have 12 more shows before the end of December. All right. We're going to go up until December 22nd, and then we take a break. And then for Christmas, and then after Boxing Day, we are on again until the last day, until the December 30th. All right. And then, you know, we have Old Year's Night, and then going into New Year's, and then back January 2nd. We don't have any time to take any longer break, because if election is around the corner, we need to continue to educate. And I promise you that we will be on. I don't know how many of us will be on, but we're going to. I was definitely going to be here. I want to also announce something that's very exciting. Is that on Wednesday to the end of the year, Ms. McLean, we are starting a study. Okay, so the first part of the show is going to be on Animal Farm. All right, we're going to start a study on Animal Farm. We're going to take I'll take some of the time Animal Farm, and then the latter part of the program we're going to deal with all of these areas. If Dave could put back up the report card for me, the performance card. While he's doing that, I'm going to ask everybody, chapter one of Animal Farm. This is going to be important. We're getting election ready. Animal Farm, chapter 1. You can find this free online, so don't tell me. Go ahead and search for chapter 1, Animal Farm. We're talking here about educating, all right? Changing the mindsets. That's really what this is all about. So Dave puts up, yes, that same performance card. Now, the reason I'm putting this up, because I want you to prepare ahead of time. So I'm giving you lots of homework, okay? Homework number 1, read chapter 1 of Animal Farm, okay? Number 2, you're going to research on education reform for tomorrow. Okay, people? Education reform. Everybody heard what the homework is? Don't let me have you to ask you to write it in the comment section. Okay. Everybody, the homework is we are going to be looking at chapter 1. Thank you, Miss McLean. Chapter 1 of Animal Farm. Okay? Don't tell me, I'm going to say, Mom, the same student. Mom, I don't have the book. Don't say, Marcia, I don't have the book. It's just a click. Google chapter 1 of Animal Farm. Not long. Okay? Not long. Secondly, we're going to study on education reform. Education reform, we're going to deal with that tomorrow. Mr. Murray has a special presentation. And then at 8 p.m., as we did tonight, we're going to go right back to our performance card. Okay, everybody? All right. So education reform, chapter 1. Everybody got that? VOI says she has. Everybody, if you got the homework, let me see a thumbs up. Then you come on here and tell me that you didn't get the homework. The next time, I think I'm going to write it out. Oh, if you understand the homework, let me see a thumbs up. Oh boy, no thumbs up. That means they're not doing it, Miss McLean.
No, I am looking for the chapter as we speak.
Adrian, you've read that book before? You're muted.
Many times.
Many times. Good. The first time I did that was in literature. Okay, Sherilyn, one person. We have one person put up the thumbs up that they understand the homework.
I have chapter 1 here, Marcia.
You do? You have chapter 1. You see?
I just Googled it.
You just let me put you at the top. Say that again, Miss McLean.
I just Googled chapter 1 Animal Farm, and here it is on my cell phone.
That means it's easy to get. We've got to, we have to break ourselves. There's a mindset here, guys. We got to break ourselves free. Go ahead, Mr. Vines.
So which of the three is Miss Piggy? Squealer, Snowball, and Napoleon? Don't answer. I'm just kidding. Don't answer. Don't answer.
Well, you know the thing about this is that people are going to think I chose the book because of the pigs. Honestly, I didn't. Okay, but I know what people are going to think.
There's a greater political story here, of course, and greater story. But yeah, I will have some fun with it if you allow me to. But I will be calling names, but I'll have some fun.
That's fine.
Hey,
okay.
Two last things. Andrea, I'm just going back to this real quick. Her disability was specific to the blind, and again, Andrea, these are things that needs to be legislated. I don't think they fit into the Constitution. The Constitution is a broad generalization of rules, and then you get the specifics by legislation that sits under the Constitution. And as I said, I think I read something recently that they legislated some rights to the disabled in Barbados, and I promised to look it up and bring some more clarity to it. The last thing was from Keith Padmore. He said, now that more Barbadians are and continue to see through the maze and circuses, what will they do to free themselves from the clutches of evil that continue to plague our beloved country, Barbados? And Keith, I would just say shortly, rather than watch, try to reach out to Barbadians and try to encourage them about the importance of voting, right? There's, just sit down and think about what you would say to them to encourage them, knowing that there is this negativity towards voting, how you can, put some language together that would help them to see voting in a different light. That might help to change some of the negativity, some of the 60% that have walked away from the polls. I've done that, and I have a whole bunch of talking points that I've worked on that whenever I get into these discussions, I have them at hand that I can pull out to help me narrate a conversation about the importance of voting. So you might want to do that as well. That's it.
Yes, she says thanks. Well, we're going to close. Oh, it's 10:08. So each of you, please take half a minute and say good night to the people, and any final words to our wonderful viewers tonight. Ms. McLean.
All right. Well, I just want to say that people need to pay attention to what I consider to be a major issue. We have so-called transition. I mean, it is on a very superficial way to this republic status, but we are yet to understand exactly who we are and what we are as a republic, and on what foundation have we built that. In other words, what is the constitution that informs that status? It has occurred in a situation where promises were not kept, and that pattern of not keeping promises is not what we as a Barbadians are accustomed to when it comes to issues of such importance. And therefore, we need for the government to tell us, and Barbadians will understand the significance of this failure, you know.
Yes.
And they will have a chance to express their positions on that. That's all the signs are pointing to, you know. But I would hate to imagine that we go into an election with this unfinished business.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. McLean. And Adrian Hines.
Yeah, so, you know, I always try to finish with some concept about voting, just going back to what I was telling Keith Badmore about thinking about something. Here's two of the things that I wrote with regards to what I would tell somebody. Choosing not to vote doesn't make the politics go away. It simply removes your voice from decisions that will still be made about your children, your community, your future. And when fed up people stay home, the only beneficiaries are those who thrive in division and negativity and unchecked power. The very forces you're dissatisfied with become stronger because other people have stepped back. Voting isn't about accepting the system as it is. It is about shaping what it can become. Your vote may not fix everything overnight, but it can push things in a better direction. It can send messages. It can shift the balance, and it can open the door for someone new. So even if you're frustrated, even if you're tired, and even if you're disappointed, your vote remains your strongest statement. This is who I trust to do better.
Wow. You need to send me some of those things and let me do them up as a text and put your name underneath it. We're very, very good. Unless you already have it, and send it to me so we can actually put them up on the screen.
I'll do that. I don't need any accolades, or just send them up. Anybody can use it.
I will put your name there.
I don't need that.
Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Hines. Thank you, Mr. Bob. He was fabulous as well. Thank you, Mr. Bob. Thank you, Ms. McLean, for this sacrifice. You came straight from church here. And yeah, I know you've been going all day. I don't know how you do it. And I was wondering if you were going to make it on, but I really, really appreciate the sacrifice you make for Barbados, the country you love. Guys, remember homework. Chapter 1 of Animal Farm and education reform. Read up on education reform so we can have a proper discussion tomorrow night. Every night we're tackling one thing, okay? Sticking on one thing right through. God bless you all. Dave, a phenomenal job tonight, especially in finding that, for me, I mean, connecting the last decade, you know, and we're realizing that, those lost decades at that time was awesome, actually.
Yep.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Dave, for that. And good night to everybody for all your contribution. And we see you tomorrow night. Glenn is on tomorrow night, okay? God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care,
Bye.
Adrian. Bye.
All right. Bye, Maxine. Bye-bye.
Who said that I look like Santa Claus? All of the gal, all of the gal. Who said that I look like Santa Claus? All of the gal, all of the gal. Mistake me for Santa Claus. They mistake me for Santa. So what you know? Take me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. Here it is now. I have my friend June what she want for Christmas. If she done my friend with a beer, she ain't cuss. Y'all want fridge, brand new stove, wardrobe, carpet, and a 7-year clothes, 2-color TV. One for my bedroom. And a stereo sexy, and she pair with June. Take she done whiskey and rum. Bosh the pit paper, she did like don't run. 5 years of sausage, a 4-leg lamb. 2 turkeys, a phone, and a picnic ham. It's money left, I bring 4 dozen eggs. A case of turkey rings and a box of chicken legs. A food processor, y'all want a blender, a fan. I run vacuum cleaner, my mouth open wide, come beneath my ears. I bring a shirt for my man and 2 underwears. What? Bye! She mistake me for Santa Claus. She mistake me for Santa. She mistake me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. So what you? She mistake me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. Hear this? She mistake me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. Get on my bicycle, start to pedal, all I'm out there, you know how make a bubble. So let's pop up with this kitten Judy. It's Christmas, will you bring for me? Oh Lord, you can trouble when you want no more, cause somebody will tell you that they ring the lotto. You always cry. Then she think she had a scrap. You know me, I can't want now, man. That's a washing machine, microwave and toaster. Big air perfume and CD player. Living room suite, and a dining set. on. What? She must take me for Santa Claus. She must take me for Santa. She must take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. So watch her. She must take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. She must take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. Girls, who said that I look like Santa Claus? All of the girls, all of the girls. Who said that I look like Santa Claus? All of the girls, all of the girls. Why you take me for this Santa Claus fella? You see that I'm black and he's white as ever. Big and fat, long beard, up on the chin. I'm tall, good looking, handsome and slim. He's probably more full, like from Barbados. Still mistaking me for this Father Christmas. No, Sharon asked me for a Christmas gift. When he asked me, she wants, she taking out the long list. One day, the year set, gold ring and bracelet. But she heard that my mother did born a puppet. She want Christmas tree. They're taking from me to go Puerto Rico. We're spending money. All fools for two. I say all right then, but she ain't want me come. She want me, she boyfriend. Want me there, but she selling the phone. I tell she ain't back. She tell me get a bank loan. Why? She must take me for Santa Claus. She must take me for Santa. Take me for Santa Claus. She must take me for Santa. So what you know? Take me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. Yes! Take me for Santa Claus. You gotta take me for Santa. No wonder. I am a best living one at the phone ring. Hard and jam me out of my skin. I ask make sexy voice on the line.
Eric, how you doing?
I say that I find.
You know who it is?
I ain't got a clue.
It's Gloria.
Gloria, Gloria who?
Gloria, we meet back over.
Oh yeah, and I give you my phone number.
So you buy my Christmas gift already?
Thanks, brown girl, not really.
I know things time.
You got that right.
But I want a black dress to wear for you tonight.
A pair of gold shoe, she want a hairdo. Go chain and watch her earrings too. I say, hold on a minute, my phone just beep and the yard plug my phone and went back to sleep. She must take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. Oh gosh, take me for Santa. Boys, take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. Hear this? She must take me for Santa Claus. The girl take me for Santa. All of the girls take me for Santa Claus. They must take me for Santa. They must take